Ladies and gentlemen, this is lucky number 13, week 13 of the NFL season. Only 2 weeks left of the fantasy football season. It is do or die for a lot of us league-wide. Unless you've clinched playoff spots, you still have something to play for, not to mention a full Thanksgiving Day slate of games, a Black Friday game that some of us will probably be tuned into, some of us will probably be at work, and a great slate of Sunday action. It's all happening right now, just like we said it would. Already 13 weeks in. The time is flying. The original draft board for the All the Money Sports League draft this year is sitting right behind us, ominously reminding us of our decisions. And now here we are.
Stay up till the season's over.
Bringing it all to the forefront right now for a new edition of On the Money Podcast, live from the On the Money Sports Lounge. As always, I'm one half of the Mega Powers of Podcasting. My name is Irrational, and alongside me, wearing this year's ensemble from the On the Money Sports Draft, thanks to Danny, the league champion, none other than Oscar O'Money.
Week 13. This is the week where if you're on the right there, the border, you got 2 games left.
You got to pick a side.
If you can win out and a couple things fall in your way, you can sneak into that 8th slot or that 6th slot, depending on how many slots are in your fantasy football league.
'Tis the time to do the math.
But if you lose, it's over, and you go on to the next. You wait for next year.
There is no tomorrow.
You wait almost 6.5 months, 6 to 7 months until draft day in hopes to get that nasty, icky stench of losing and missing the playoffs off of you.
Yep.
Go in there thinking to yourself, Christian McCaffrey's going to play all season, right? No, you can't think like that. On draft day, you got to go after the guys that are for sure things. No more question marks. No more hopes. No more, my favorite word in the world, potential.
Oh, it's not about potential week 13. Week 13, you got to start your studs.
So on draft day next year,
What up, Mike?
Go with what you know.
Yeah, it's tough. It's going to be a long time. It's hard. Not every team
for
makes
all the
it.
Giants fans that asked for DeVito. And
Mikey has checked in. It's do or die time for a lot of us in leagues where, you know, if you're sitting at 5-7, 6-6, 4-8, hell, 7-5, you're not all the way safe. You got to clinch your spot. You've got to see that little X next to your name in the fantasy standings on Tuesday to know that you're good, you're safe. You can set your week 14 lineup for fun to be able to see what you have going into the playoff matchups. But until then, we got to get through this. We got to get through a week 13 with absolutely no buys, because in week 14, it will probably be the worst week for bye weeks league-wide. Week 14, final week of the fantasy season, and you're not going to have your Ravens or your Commanders players for week 14. So Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson will not be there to save your ass if you are in a must-win situation next week. So that makes the waiver wire interesting because you're making waivers for 2 weeks, not just one. You got to think to yourself, what advantages can I get for week 14 knowing that half my team is not even going to be here for potentially, you know, a matchup that could mean everything, or maybe you're just playing spoiler and preventing somebody else from making the playoffs. Either way, you got to set those lineups. You got to start your studs because it's all happening. We got the playoff scenarios for a couple of the leagues that we're in. We want to hear your playoff scenarios and leagues that we're not in, just to paint the picture, because the anxiety is going to be at a level that it has not seen all season long on Sunday when Scott Hansen goes live for NFL Red Zone. And you're sitting there with your list of teams, with your lineups, tinkering until 12:59, making sure that everybody's where they need to be. Maybe or maybe not enjoying a solid lead that your Thursday and your Friday starts have given you. Because, you know, there's nothing worse than going into Sunday and looking and seeing yourself down by a lot, hoping for a lot. Trying to figure out what the most potent lineup you can make is.
Yeah. Don't go in there thinking Jaden Reed, who had a start to a good game in the first quarter, 3 catches, 26 yards, and it's the first 10 minutes of the game, and you're like, oh, this might be the Jaden Reed breakout game since week 1. Not going to happen.
He was amazing.
We're just going to keep splitting the ball out to everybody else.
He was absolutely amazing in September. like Jaden Reed was winning you weeks early on, and he's just hasn't been in the picture. Romeo Dobbs was officially ruled out for that game tomorrow night against the Miami Dolphins. So maybe Jaden Reed gets back into the mix. But as ugly as it's been for Miami, they've done a good job against quarterbacks. So very interesting AFC versus NFC matchup to the nightcap for the Thanksgiving slate of games. And of course, to all of you guys, yes, Thanksgiving Eve. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our loved ones watching, all of our friends. Hope that you guys are enjoying. You're probably in the kitchen right now, getting everything ready for tomorrow to put less on your plate for tomorrow, because we know how hectic the holidays can be. So crack yourself a cold beer. You got a couple pies baking right now, some cookies in the oven. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a Thanksgiving Eve edition of On the Money podcast as we sort of try to paint the picture for what's to come for week 13 on, because now is the time. This is what I've been waiting all season for, and it sucks because it goes by so fast. You try to savor some of the moments along the way, but this is what I've been waiting for, just to find out how many of my teams are going to be able to make the cut, get into the tournament, and get themselves to the bowl games. I know Mikey right now is waiting for the same thing.
Paul's commenting, but I just realized on my main page it's showing the podcast, which all the views are welcomed. But when you comment on my main page, I don't get to see it it doesn't pop up on the forum.
Okay.
So depending on where you're watching the stream.
Paul, what's up, bro? What's your Thanksgiving lock of the week? We need to know.
Paulie T's Thanksgiving lock of the week.
We need to know, bro.
He never gave us a lock of the week last week.
No, he did. I'm pretty sure he did. I honestly can't believe we are in week 13 already. Yeah, bro, it flew by. We remember week 1, we remember week 2. Like it literally flies by faster and faster each and every year.
I'm not happy at all.
And like here we are. There's still plenty of regular season football left, so there's still a lot of time for certain teams to maybe run the tables. I don't know. There's still a lot of big matchups coming. There's some marquee matchups, a couple more Friday football games, Saturday night football action towards the end of
Friday
the regular
at 3
season.
o'clock, Raiders, Chiefs.
Yeah. Wish that got flexed, but I mean, well,
yeah, that would have been nice. Last year on Christmas Day, the Raiders beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been playing with fire all season long. Yeah, I keep saying it.
They're also 9-1. It's just not an interesting storyline right now just yet. They're not in peril. They're not in any danger. So it's just one of those things.
Oh, Paul's here. He's live.
What up, bro? What's going on, player? Yeah, but it's just I'm sorry. Rooting on the Chiefs' downfall has gotten boring to me.
Yeah,
like they're the best until somebody unseats them.
I'm just saying they're playing with fire. And when you get to the playoffs, if you play like that in the playoffs, you never know what up-and-coming team. It's like when 1-2-3 kid came out of nowhere and pinned Razor Ramon. It can happen.
Who was the quarterback last year when the Raiders beat the Chiefs?
Aiden O'Connell.
Was it?
Yeah.
You think he's got another one in him?
Imagine that. I don't think it's going to happen.
The
Raiders are terrible.
Feel-good moment for the Raiders?
The Raiders are terrible.
And the Raiders are also playing for the tank right now. They're one of the 3 teams with only 2 wins.
What up, E?
They're not going to try to win this game, right? They're expected to lose, so they're going to deliver on that.
The Raiders are going to do what it's necessary to try to get up there in that top 5, and with hopes of drafting probably most likely who they want badly.
Well, they're in
Shedeur Sanders.
They're in the top 3 along with the New York Giants and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think
that's the team to watch out for Shedeur Sanders.
Jaguars are number 1 right now, and I'm hearing Trevor Lawrence is coming back. Apparently, Trevor Lawrence is he's coming back, and so it makes you wonder what the hell's going on.
Why didn't I? No,
they're playing the Texans this week. So
Doug Peterson still has a job.
Yeah, how does that tie into the decision to have him come back? Are you doing it because you think you're going to get fired?
Hey, if he finishes strong, if the Jags can finish strong, get 4 wins in the month of December, it could sway management from firing him. He could also be like, "Hey, this GM I got, Trent Baalke's terrible."
Well, they were losing with Trevor Lawrence too. Trevor Lawrence wasn't exactly lighting it up before he got hurt. I just thought that he was getting put on the shelf because they were, checking out. They have the number 1 overall pick as of right now. Bringing Trevor Lawrence back, bringing your franchise guy back into this the week before a huge division game, pretty much. It just makes you kind of scratch your head. which kind of ties into my belief that it might be Dougie P sort of making this move to kind of show face and have a little, spark up the boys, like fire up the boys and potentially save himself going into next year.
If I'm Doug Peterson, I'm saying this team made the playoffs in my first season because Tennessee basically got injured down the stretch that first season.
It fell apart.
They were 7-2 at one point.
We absolutely fell apart.
And they were failure. Didn't they beat the Bills or the Bills routed y'all?
Bills routed us. I think we beat them. I think it was that Monday night game?
Yeah.
That was one of our last important wins, though. Honestly.
Like, the Titans were 7-2 at one point, and then they just got hurt. Like, everybody got hurt. Henry got hurt. Tannehill got hurt. Like, it got ugly. And the Jaguars took advantage, and let's never forget the division still came down to the fact that the 8-9 Tennessee Titans could have won
with Dobbs
the AFC South.
So Jags eliminated us the final week of the season, and then we returned the favor last year.
So just imagine, like, that team wasn't good enough then. It's not good enough now. I don't think they've drafted the proper players, and it's a part of it goes on Doug Peterson. Guys,
Travis Etienne is not that good, yo. Hate to break it to you. Travis Etienne was Urban Meyer's boy. And that's just, there you go. That's what that's all about. Travis Etienne is not that good.
Bixby is
one of the most
good. Travis Etienne is good.
Etienne is not that good.
He is a good ball player.
What's he doing for you guys this year? What's he doing for the Jacksonville Jag? We can switch it from reality to fantasy. What's he doing for anybody this year? Nothing.
He's having a bad year, but the previous seasons he's been very good.
He'll never be great. First overall pick, right?
I will say about this real quick about basketball. That McCain kid, as much as we make fun of him, he's a pretty good ball player.
I mean, compared to what he's around, he's the most consistent Philadelphia 76er right now on the court. He's the scorer. He's the points. We got a live watch along of the Houston Rockets versus the 76ers on the big screen here.
Like, he's been very impressive, that kid.
He's a dog. He goes after on the court. Maybe the whole thing.
Maybe the rest of the team should do TikToks with him.
Or maybe it's just like, it's like gold dust, where it's like kind of like a distraction to make you like forget about the fact he can actually play basketball, and he kind of uses it to his advantage with the TikToks and the fingernails and all that other. I mean, it's a different era, bro. What can you do? It's a different day and age.
Either way, the Jaguars are a mess. They're going to be picking in the top 3. They're not picking a quarterback because they just gave a boatload of money to none other than Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, how about you draft your trenches, get your offensive line, what they got to do.
And they need a wide receiver.
They need someone else to go with Brian.
They need a wide receiver.
With Brian Thomas.
Yeah, they need another wide receiver. Brian Thomas is great.
They should have kept Calvin Ridley.
You need another one. You need another one.
Should have kept Calvin Ridley.
Because you don't really have, their wide receiver core is probably 31st.
Next, I would say you got the Giants, who I believe are most likely going to take Cam Ward. That's if the Giants stay there, because according to the mic, they're going to win games with the veto and come out of the top 5 position.
Well, we watched them lose together this past Sunday.
Speaking of the Giants, as Paul noted, Daniel Jones signed with the Minnesota Vikings practice squad today.
Currently signed to the practice spot, can sign with another team within the next 3 weeks if their starting quarterback ends up getting hurt. He can sign somewhere else. He will be a free agent next season. Nothing guaranteed right now, but as of right now, the Minnesota Vikings have both Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones currently on the roster. So he got picked up. It's a move that made sense. It's a move that made sense for the Vikings. I explained it to you guys in the group chat. Minnesota basically took what they did this season with, they have the rookie who's hurt and they have a veteran quarterback in Sam Darnold, and they said to themselves, we can try this again next year, 2025. It's an insurance policy in case Sam Darnold doesn't stay. Next year, you go into 2025 with J.J. McCarthy and a veteran backup quarterback in Daniel Jones should he choose to stay there. He could go somewhere else, but it's one of those things where that's going to be his role now.
I think he has an opportunity to play.
I mean, if they weren't 9-2, I'd be more leaning to agree with you. But right now at 9-2, Sam Darnold, after whatever happened to him against Jacksonville, has been playing a lot better. That Jacksonville game was just atrocious.
Justin Jefferson, can you just stay hidden for another week?
No, I need him this week. I need him bad this week in the league that I have him in, because that was crazy. We were sitting here in the lounge asking each other, yo, how's Justin Jefferson doing for did your points load up before mine? Because You know, is he playing? Is he on the sidelines? Like, I
Meanwhile,
don't
Jordan
understand.
Addison on my bench in 2 leagues that I should have had him start, and I probably might have had a better chance of winning.
You got guys like Josh Downs and Westbrook Akine, you know,
Well, Kenya's points came if you had bonus points in your league.
Quadrupling Jefferson's production.
I am thinking about cutting out the 40-yard point bonus.
I don't mind it. I'm okay with it. It's
maybe keeping just the 50-yarder.
It's one of those things we can consider in the off-season meetings.
It's something to talk about.
Yeah, the off-season meetings.
I know the Finer Things Club needs another roster spot. I've witnessed it, and I'm going to. I'm making that executive decision with no votes. I am going to tyrant this thing, and I'm going to do that on my own.
One more bench spot would be healthy. There's some tough drop decisions that need to be made in Elite 8 as of right now because of the fact that you can't hold on to everybody. So a couple weeks ago, I did drop Jameson Williams because it was just one of those things where I wasn't going to drop a James Conner. I wasn't going to, like I was at the time thinking back on it, it should have been Jaden Reed that I dropped. But it's one of those things where I'm holding on to the faith in what I saw from September.
A couple weeks ago, I picked up Calvin Ridley and dropped him.
He's been balling, dog. He's been straight out balling out there.
But at the time, he wasn't doing nothing for 2 weeks. No. The 3 weeks I had him on my bench.
Oh, he's making up for it.
Doesn't matter. I'm probably not going to make the playoffs in that league.
Elite 8. You're not out of it, though. A lot can happen.
That's the fourth spot. Listen, the third and fourth spot, I think, are wide open.
When you look at their records. You know, you got 7-5, you got 6-6. You've got Aiden, who's at 6-6 right now, right? And then there's you at 5-7. So, you know, at the 5 seed and the 6 seed, the next 2 weeks are basically everything. And I play against Surge this week, the number 2 seed versus the number 3 seed. We got
Saul wants us to read his parlay.
Eric and Mikey going back and forth.
Yeah.
On talking basketball. You got Celtics and Knicks going down in the group chat. Love to see it. Keep it going. Keep the energy going. Keep the feedback going. Keep the comments flowing. Mikey found himself another person to argue with. He's been doing it with everybody.
He's been very argumentative lately.
He's got a lot to defend lately. Of course, you know, Eric made the comment of Westbrook is going after a chip. And Mikey talking about, you're talking about the Nuggets that we trashed. But, you know, the Knicks, they got smacked around by Utah the other day. So it's just one of those things. It's still early in the NBA season. We got to pump the brakes. Elite 8, 10-2, baby. Mikey can brag about that. Number 1 seed.
There's no bye. You're playing opening weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a 4-team playoff format. So Elite 8, the cool thing about Elite 8 is we're actually going to be in a championship week during the semifinals of like every other fantasy league. So it's like that championship is going to be crowned before any other championship is crowned. It's going to be, it has its own week, it has its own designation. It makes week 16 a whole lot more interesting.
Looks like I picked the wrong day for Seguin the Pili. Should have picked him against the other day.
Oh, yeah.
He had 56 the other day.
I left a lot of points on the I picked the wrong days. I should have had everybody play Monday because Monday all my guys went off. And ever since then, none of them have been able to top the production. Like LaMelo had 60, Jokic had like 57. Somebody else, I think I think I started Scotty Barnes, who gave me like 41, 42. But all in all, I definitely missed out on some points, so I might get caught slipping. I'm going up against Matt this week in basketball. Okay.
Looks like I'm going to be picking number 2
the
with
parlay we have is Tyrone Tracy, Devon A-Chain, Jahmyr Gibbs, Chris Brooks. Ooh, I know that probably boosted your ticket, adding a Chris Brooks touchdown. Super spicy. I love it. I know that
I'm going to pick number 2 with you in the draft. I'll be number 2.
The way it's looking. What are you? You're the number 2 pick?
Yep.
And Dooley right now is looking like number 3.
Number 10.
I have Dooley's pick.
Number 10 is Dooley. Yep.
I have his first round pick.
Who's 9?
Number 9, Terrell, because I just beat him.
9 is Terrell. 8 is Bobby.
I got Terrell's pick too. This is great. I'm going to dominate the rookie draft this year and draft a star-studded team and win the championship next year.
But Alex got that pick, I think.
From rags to riches.
All I know is right now, last the pick is going to be Netta, then RJ, then Alex, and then Nick.
I play RJ this week. He's currently 8-4. He's one of the better teams in the league. I am not one of the better teams in the league. I am in the process of tanking for the top pick, which it's been working so far. And then this past week, Terrell decides to lose to me. So now I am one game out of the playoffs with the number one pick as of right now. So the next 2 weeks are going to be interesting. I'm going to set and I'm through my worst bye week, so I get Chase Brown back this week, which I'm excited about.
Who do you play this week?
I got RJ this week.
You're projected to win. Oh, this is awesome. If you win and I lose, I get the number one overall, baby.
Aston Gentry we'll have the same record.
Is all mine.
We'll have the same record, technically. I don't know if I automatically would go up to 11th, but with the 2-game winning streak, I might. Yeah, that definitely boosted your shit,
Brooks is the riskiest.
I like it, though. I ain't mad at it, bro. Everything else, I like Tracy. Took Tracy's rushing and receiving yards combination over 78.5. I kind of like that. Not so much the game itself, but for that particular prop, I think that he should have a good day. He did have, the turnover issue, but it's one of those things, it's not like the Giants are actually playing for anything. So I definitely see him being out there tomorrow, being an active part of the offense with, Drew Lock, who has been named the starter for tomorrow's game because DeVito is not going to be able to play. We watched him get absolutely mauled by the Tampa Bay Bucs defense, getting body slammed onto the ground this past Sunday. It's tough when you have a short turnaround after getting beat up like that to play on Thursday. Going up against a slightly rejuvenated Dallas Cowboys team that just ended up getting a big win over the Commanders with some wild plays at the end of that football game. A game that for the most part was one of those like nothing much really happening. And then all of a sudden in the last 5 minutes, everything happened. The entire lounge roared with applause when Terry McLaurin gets the 87-yard touchdown run because it meant something for all of us who were waiting for Scary Terry to be scary. He ends the day with 104 receiving yards and gets most of them on that one play. A massive, and if you play in leagues with us, plays like that mean bonus points. It don't just mean a touchdown. Like you're going to get a touchdown and some. So that was like one of the big plays that got the pop. And then the following play with the missed extra point, which was just absolutely insane way to finish that game after we're saying to ourselves, we're getting overtime, boys. The tickets are still alive, boys. Nope.
Not at all.
Commanders kicker goes to and misses the extra point, loses the game to the Dallas Cowboys. And, don't look now, but there's some Cowboys fans out there that they're trying to hold it in, but deep down they're saying to themselves, don't let us get 2 in a row against our division rivals. Don't let us back in. Don't let us get in.
Well, speaking of that, why don't we look at their schedule?
That's been a good weekly tradition this year, just to put things into perspective as far as what's to come.
All right, so they got the Giants this week.
Beatable.
Next week they got it's over. The Bengals next week.
Yeah.
Then they got the Panthers, the Bucks.
That one's over. And the Eagles.
And Commanders again.
Oof. That could be a huge game for the Commanders at the end of the year. Week 18.
Yeah, they might need it.
Week 18 could be a massive game for the Commanders.
They probably got 2 more wins on here.
And the Commanders still have one more game against the Eagles.
I think they can beat the Panthers, and I think they can beat the Giants. Well, I know they can beat the Giants. So that's 6-7 wins. Final prediction, Dallas finishes 7-10.
They screw themselves out of a good pick. You draft somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
And not much more that you can say really about them. Hopefully they get themselves a running back through free agency.
Just not to be rude. Look, the remainder of the Giants schedule.
That's rude.
Well, there's viewers out there. They want to know.
It's the Cowboys. It's the Saints.
They got the Saints next week, the Ravens the following week, the Falcons the following week, the Colts, the Eagles, the Lions, the Texans, the Jets.
No, that's preseason shit you're looking at.
I'm sorry.
Their season. I mean, their season is
My
already
bad.
over,
Eagles,
but it
Colts,
ends with
Falcons,
the Philadelphia Eagles.
Ravens.
They got the Eagles week 18. Eagles might sit their starters depending on what's going on.
Maybe they beat the Colts. If they don't beat Dallas and Cooper Rush, they're probably not winning another game. I think they're going to finish 2-15.
currently in contention for that top pick, which makes it a lot more interesting.
I'm sorry, Mike, and I'm not doing that to be rude.
With Trevor Lawrence coming back into the fold and potentially starting, it makes that number one pick a little bit more viable.
Your take about Tommy DeVito can win games, I don't see. I'm sorry, dog. I don't see it.
Well, he was saying the Giants were losing on purpose. I'm more inclined to believe the Giants were just losing games they weren't capable of winning. But to each their own. Truth of the matter is, Danny Dimes has gotten picked up. Giants still need a quarterback. He ain't on the roster right now. And they are currently in contention for the number one overall pick, which if they get to the number one overall pick, there is going to be a firestorm of arguments inside of Giants fan pages as far as who that number one pick needs to be, or those in
trade back.
Thank you. Took the words right out of my mouth. Those in Giants lands who feel as though it behooved them to trade out of the number one pick for a ransom.
You're not winning games. Did you not just hear the schedule I read off?
DeVito has to play to win games. He wasn't really the spark.
Did anybody hear the games I read off?
I mean, the Saints is not really, they can get one more, I think. They get one more. Right.
I wanted to be there to say this, but I'm convinced we won't win another game now. I am too.
Saints are beatable, though.
Unless Drew Lock goes in there and does his whole little... When you seen him in the Denver Broncos sideline that one game.
I think that he's going to go in there. He's got slow feet. He ain't going to run with the ball. We know that. So I like Tyrone Tracy even more. And is this the guy that we're expecting Malik Neighbors to get peppered with? Like, he's going to pepper him with targets? Like, because Malik Neighbors is pissed. He's not happy right now. So, is this going to be the get-right game for him? And is that going to be the quarterback that's going to be able to get him right?
If he ends up signing with Philadelphia.
That was the Giants' version of Wrestling with Shadows. Is all that footage. It's damning, bro. It's absolutely damning. And then after the performance that we saw Saquon Barkley put.
Saints and not with your roster. Dog, I'm sorry. Your roster's not good. Your team checked out already.
Colts.
Malik Neighbors has checked out.
Colts are still playing for something.
My man said, don't ask me. I'm not the guy that calls the plays.
Like, the Colts are still playing for something. I don't believe the Saints are any good. I don't think the Colts are great, but the Colts are still playing for something right now. They're only 2 games out of the top of the division in the AFC South because we helped out the Colts unintentionally. And as of right now, Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts just got to figure out how to string some wins together and potentially make it very interesting in the South.
I'm taking Alvin Kamara 2 touchdowns against the Giants that week on my DraftKings.
That's a good bet. It's a simple formula. We saw what Bucky Irvin and Rashad White and Sean Tucker did. They ran all over them this past week. Absolutely ran all over them. Fucking Baker Mayfield with the rushing touchdown and then basically ending the career of DeVito that day.
Even started.
No, he ended the allure and the aura of it by doing that, by mocking him and then them going out there and destroying him. Like, it just wasn't the same. He wasn't the spark. Mikey knew he wasn't going to be the spark.
It was funny watching them. I'm sorry.
But now you get to see Drew Lock, and now,
they're sitting here looking at the TV, and they're getting mad, but this is what you want, though, right? At this point?
I just remember Matt just rubbing his eyes.
I haven't been in this position. Listen, I haven't been in that position to want my team to lose for a very, very long time.
Good one right here. After last week, I'm convinced Daboll has officially lost the locker room. It feels different, bro. It feels different, bro. It really does. And then you think about everything. You tie everything together. Hard Knocks, the regular season, the Daniel Jones, and it all, none of it makes Daboll look any better whatsoever. And now players coming out and saying the things that they're saying. I love Daboll as a coach. And after a year, I felt like I could see the vision him and Shane was trying to put together. But one bad decision after another has led to where we are at right now. But
it's not all on Daboll's feet. He's not buying the groceries.
I think
he's cooking with the ingredients that the guy who had 2 nameless gray faces inside of his office talking about players.
Let's face it.
He's been buying these groceries.
Let's face it.
The best part was, I can remember on this podcast when they said Devin Singletary was going to give them what Barkley could.
That was horseshit. Look at Devin Singletary now. He's not even the starting running back right now. It's Tracy.
You remember though people saying that?
Yeah, Singletary was gonna match the numbers, blah blah blah. Here's the reality. Dayball sold you all hope with the playoff appearance and the win over the Minnesota Vikings. He sold you the hope. He sold you the belief. They overachieved. A lot of us called that team a fluke. Giants fans wanted to believe that wasn't a fluke. And this season was the season for them to prove that none of it was a fluke. However, now sitting on this side of 2-9, we're looking at it and we're saying to ourselves, that may have been a fluke. Dayball has not been able to replicate that since then. And the majority of what was happening during that season was on the back and shoulders of none other than Saquon Barkley, who basically had a comeback year, it was fair to say, after a lot of the plays that he was making for the Giants that season. And now Saquon Barkley is wearing green and is the potential conversation for the MVP candidate.
What we're watching Saquon Barkley do right now is what we thought we were going to see him do for the last 5 years.
The hope that was sold to you no longer exists for that same head coach that is sitting in New York right now. Alex already wants him gone.
Yeah.
Alex wants him gone.
John Mara said they were all coming back. So are they all going to come back?
Look, that to me just means that it's going to be a long time before the Giants are relevant still. Next year's still going to be a bad year until you figure it out.
If
the year after that might be a bad year.
If Brian Daboll sticks around and they pick a quarterback next season, it behooves you not to fire him regardless. Because at the end of the day, if you draft a quarterback, keep that coach. That now means another year into this guy, he's going to have an all new new system he has to learn.
Well, Mikey's saying, so now Mara needs to ask himself this. Do I let these guys draft QB and see what they can do? But if he does that, he has to give them more than just 1 year. And looking at it now, you can't let these guys draft a QB and fire them after that because we will fall right back into the limbo that we are in right now. So,
which is crazy because the New York Giants franchise,
it buys you
since
time.
The turn of the century has been a pretty good franchise, I would say, overall. They've made some playoff appearances. Hell, they've won 2 Super Bowls. It's insane what's happened.
Well, the last 10 years, they've been one of the worst.
Yeah. They're right there next to Cleveland in the win-loss
They've managed to, in a decade, lose so much that you forget about all the success that they've been able to have as a franchise. And they're still, one of the perennial franchises of the league. But right now, it ain't looking like it's going to get any better for these guys. It's going to get you got 2 more bad years before this shit turns around, regardless of who the head coach is in the situation. They're sitting there talking about, and please, the Barkley thing is so overrated. It's crazy, bro. Would the Giants be any better with Barkley on the team?
I think the Giants would have at least 5 wins.
So letting Barkley walk was and still is the right decision. So that needs to be put to rest already.
I think they would have at least 3 more wins. Maybe,
I mean, listen, if
maybe
you're
4.
If you're okay with how the New York Giants handled that situation, then I'm okay with it. He's on the Eagles right now. The Eagles are freaking 9-2. I don't think
he misses the Giants.
He's not worried about that right now. He's on a winning football team, and the Eagles have the potential to
get to the Super Bowl.
Not for nothing. They look really good right now. And really, who is in their way right now in the NFC besides Detroit?
That's it.
Realistically,
that's it.
They
could beat Minnesota. Minnesota's nothing.
Do we believe that the Seahawks, since the Seahawks are in first place right now, we really think the Seahawks are going to go and
I thought the Rams were going to beat them last week, and I was completely wrong. The Eagles stuffed that Rams offense.
Beat them up.
And the Rams defense had no idea how to contain Saquon Barkley.
The Rams are only 1 game out of first in the West because as of right now, it's 6-5, 6-5, 5-6, 5-6. And now, if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that Rams and the 49ers would be 5-6, I'd be like, you're crazy. But as of right now, 6-5 and 6-5 is the Seahawks and the Cardinals.
5-6 for the 49ers just feels different for me.
And the Rams still have a shot to take the West as of right now.
Yeah.
Because do we, do we think the Cardinals are going to do it?
The Cardinals are about to do their.
The Seahawks are on top because they got
in my football pool this
wins.
week. I picked the Vikings over the Cardinals. This is the time of the year the Cardinals just start to swoon back down.
Vikings should beat them.
The new maps for Call of Duty are coming out, so
and that's what leaves Danny Dimes on the bench is the fact that it's well, Sam Darnold, you're winning football games. 9-2, you don't need to bench nobody. Sam Darnold, you're 9-2 right now. That's a good place to be. Even you're 9-2 and you're not even in first place. However, you have a strong argument for that 5th seed right now if you're Minnesota. As long as things don't get shaky for you,
Yeah.
and you get 2 more wins,
They
like
should
you're
be the
booked.
5th seed.
Like you're booked.
Unless Green Bay takes it from them.
Green Bay, Green Bay needs to keep winning. Green Bay can't afford to go into tomorrow night getting a loss.
Listen,
because it could hurt
all
them.
due respect, I know Green Bay won, but that game was sloppy.
I mean, a lot of Green Bay games are sloppy. They got to figure out which Green Bay team they're going to be.
It's like if Brock Purdy was healthy, do the 49ers lose that game?
One thing about Green Bay, though, they turn it on in the playoffs. So if they can just get through the regular season and get to the postseason, it's one of those things where Jordan Love does have that, like he has that gear where he can turn it up in a playoff game. We've seen it before. I believe he can do it again. They just got to get through the regular season, which during the regular season, they look rough sometimes. And they're going up against a team, which a lot of people may not know this, but the Dolphins statistically are good against quarterbacks. And you got a Jordan Love that's going to cough up the football a couple times.
Tua Tagovailoa is averaging 27 points a game since he came back.
Do they need it
and
more?
I'm not talking about fantasy points. I'm talking about the Miami Dolphins scoring 27 points, damn near 30 points a game.
Do they need it more than the Packers?
And he's doing this without Tyreek Hill being a very big factor.
Would you say they need it more than the Packers?
Oh, they absolutely do, because you want to stay into the conversation for the playoffs. They get this, they're 6-6. Right back in it.
That's huge in the AFC.
Right back in it, just trailing Denver. The Miami Dolphins, I said this last week, had the 4th easiest schedule down the stretch of any team that's currently in the playoff hunt. This is big for them. They go into Green Bay. They beat Green Bay. It's going to be tough. A hot weather team going up in the cold weather stadium. It's going to be.
Miami's also like 0-7 when it's like 20 degrees out. So
Tua's got a lot to prove in this game.
They need to win in the cold. That's what they got to prove. Like, can you win in a cold weather game?
If you make the playoffs, you're going to be a wild card. That means most likely, if you're the 7th seed, which you probably, if you made it, you'll probably be the 7th seed. The 2 seed's most likely going to be Buffalo. You're going back in the cold.
They look like shit in the cold last time I saw them on TV.
They did.
So that's the question that spawns the next question.
That was a terrible football game.
Tyreek Hill owners, how you feeling about putting him out there early in the match?
You can't bench him.
I mean, yeah.
If you bench him, you must have balls of stone.
I haven't benched him once this year.
I can't.
Except when he wasn't. He missed the game, right?
Because all it takes is that. Yeah. And he takes a 60-yarder to the house.
You know what's crazy?
And then you're staring at your phone if you're in a bonus league, and you're just looking at it because you know that 60-yard touchdown just turned into 25 points possibly. You're sitting there going, what the and then you're saying to yourself, I'm going to lose and then you go. Then as you lose that game, you scroll down to your bench, and you see them like 50, 60 points that he put.
One bomb.
And you're just looking in the mirror going like this. Yeah, you're not bad at fantasy.
If the Packers come out sputtering, like Tyreek Hill, it's tailor-made for Tyreek Hill to potentially have one of those games where as an owner of his, now that you need it most, you're like, fine.
Not for nothing. The Dolphins are at full strength at offense right now.
You know what else who else you can't bench for the
Dolphins?
Jonnu Smith. He's their number 1 pass catcher.
And do you bench Jalen Waddle? Was this a preview of what happened last week?
I get why you would want to bench Waddle because you show up last week. Listen, I dropped Waddle in the league last week. I picked up J-Mo over Waddle because Jameson Williams was still out there. And I don't have the space. That's another league where
Waddle got picked up in that league.
Waddle's still on waivers right now, but those waivers don't process until tomorrow morning. That's the only league where I have the Thursday morning waiver wire. So I expect him to get picked up and potentially started because that league is a 10-man, only 6 playoff spots, just like On the Money. And we're at a point where the 6 and 6s are playing the 5 and 7s, and like everybody.
I'm just saying, I think that's going to be the best game of the night. The Miami Dolphins,
I don't know.
Like you said, they are a very good pass defense.
I'm going to go with Bears Lions.
They got great ability to stop the quarterbacks.
Putting up more numbers than Travis.
Jonnu Smith is almost becoming like
Jonnu Smith is putting up numbers every week.
And if Jonnu Smith continues to put those numbers up, teams are going to have to focus on him. And guess who finally gets his one-on-ones back? Tyreek.
And Hill. You know what else? We got Jonnu. Jonnu started out with the Tennessee Titans. You know how he's getting all this? The yak. The yak this guy gets is ridiculous because after he gets the ball, He's not going down. Now it's a question of once he catches the ball, he's a running back out there. And you got to bring this guy down because he's going to go out there and just like start bulldozing. He played alongside Derrick Henry when we were like at our biggest. No Alexander for the Packers, and Hill is nursing that wrist. Fire up Waddle again. I don't have Waddle anywhere right now, so I don't even have to ask myself that starter sit decision. Thank God.
I'm playing him.
So I don't have him, and I may be going against him in a league somewhere. I don't really recall at the moment, but it's one of those things where I have peace not having to make that decision. I think that my start sit decisions.
So what you think? Bears Detroit's going to be a scoring matchup?
I think Bears and Lions could potentially be better than everybody thinks, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dolphins and Packers is a dud on
Montgomery playing
Thursday
tomorrow?
night. Montgomery's trending towards playing. Amon-Ra St. Brown is trending towards playing.
Screw Montgomery.
And also,
I needed 2 touchdowns, dog.
Also, look at how many points the Lions are beating teams by. So Caleb Williams, regardless, is going to have to throw that football. Regardless of what? Regardless of interceptions, Caleb Williams needs to throw the football in this game because the Bears are not going to be able to run the football against the Lions. And once you're down 3 touchdowns, ain't no use in even running the ball anymore. So DeAndre Swift is definitely somebody that I'm scared of potentially throwing out there. But I ain't scared of putting out DJ Moore. If you look at Keenan Allen in the last 2 to 3 weeks, Keenan Allen has been getting a shit ton of targets in that offense. And Caleb Williams' biggest issue, why he's not connecting, is because he's overthrowing a lot of things that should be bonus point touchdowns. Like he's missing guys by
somebody
like
overthrew
this.
a touchdown the other day, I think, in that game, right?
Williams has been doing that all season. Like, so if he kind of refines some of those things and just reels it in a little bit, like they're going to be potent as hell next year. Caleb Williams got me 42, 43 points in the Finer Things Club this week. I did fire him up. I started him. I'm glad I did. I got him stacked up with DJ Moore, and I'm starting him again this week on Thanksgiving.
Nice.
7-5, ranked 3 in your league.
This year's fantasy football records are crazy, man.
It's competitive, bro.
If you're 4-8, or
it's competitive.
I mean, if you're 5-7, 4-8, some of you might still be alive in leagues.
Keep setting your lineups. Don't give up. Do not be that guy that's giving up on putting his, don't give out any free wins. Make your lineup. Set your freaking lineup and try to. This is the perfect time of year to be able to play spoiler, and you never know what happens. Like because let's say you're still setting your lineup and somebody else checked out on theirs. Like you can be 5-7 and go on a run, and now you're in the playoffs. What are you gonna you got to open up that ESPN app and stay tuned in and dialed into what's going on. It's league integrity. Keep things competitive. Don't give anybody out there any false sense of confidence with any type of free wins. You got to go out there and earn it this time of year. It makes everything more sweeter.
I agree.
At least that's how you do it when you play in good leagues. Now, if you play in grandma leagues and all that other crap, you do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like you go crazy. You play in a 4-man league, have at it. Dad's elimination league that took forever to draft. He's still alive with 4 people left.
Damn.
Oof. That's the guillotine league, right? That's what that is. Every week a team gets eliminated. That would be wild, bro. Like that would be scary. Each and every week, is from week 1, your anxiety's through the roof. Golf, St. Brown keeping them alive, which is crazy because that stack isn't really going off like that.
Start throwing more touchdown passes, dog.
And that's another thing. Is Goff going to go off tomorrow? Because he hasn't really been doing it. And even when he does it, it's it'll be 4 touchdown passes with 230 yards passing.
I'm thinking about the one league. I'm thinking about starting Russ over Jared Goff tomorrow.
Oh, I wouldn't.
With facing a 28th ranked Bengals secondary.
Russ didn't look good. I'd start Goff still.
Bro, it was a snowstorm.
I'll take Goff. You go ahead though. You do what you do.
Snowstorm.
If your playoff spot is like I just told Mikey. If he felt the Barkley decision was the right thing, if you feel like the Russell Wilson over Goff decision is the right thing, you have at it. It's week 13. Don't come on this podcast next week
or
with your face in your hands.
If I start Goff, what about Stafford?
Stafford going up against the
Saints.
New Orleans Saints. This is to me a get-right game for the Rams that they desperately need. So why not Stafford? Why not start Stafford? If he was on my roster, I'd put him up there in a 2-quarterback league. I'd give him the start. I expect great things from Kupp and Puka this week. They're pissed off. They got their ass kicked last week, so they can go out there and they have the opportunity to kick the Saints' ass. And, maybe Kyron Williams can just go back to being the Kyron Williams from October, because that's who I need most right now. It's getting spooky out here. Saints are nothing to write home about. They're just coming off the bye. Alvin Kamara is going to be out there for them. Carr is going to be out there for them. And then Taysom Hill, but outside of that, if the Rams don't win this game, you might as well just
phone it in.
How many more weeks can we give the Rams now on this podcast? We've been pro Rams here. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, so I've been pro Rams. I've been saying it. I've been the injuries, this, that, and the third. But if you're going into Week 13 and you can't win a football game against a team like the New Orleans Saints, you now have the Miami Dolphins loss, which I feel like should have been a win for the Rams, and a loss against a Saints team that's not even trying to surge back into the mix. The bell can't save you for only so long before things just start getting murky. You got an NFC North where the records over there look good, right?
Yeah.
The Packers get a W. That just puts them where they need to be, right behind the Vikings. And we're talking about 3 teams from the North occupying playoff spots. If the Commanders get a W, they still have a good-looking record. That's another wild card spot. That's all the playoff spots. There's no room for anybody to be screwing around.
Together, though, ain't nothing guaranteed for them anymore.
No, not from what we've seen.
Nothing guaranteed for them.
Cowboys loss was a slap in the face. They shouldn't have lost to them.
Not at all.
They shouldn't have lost to that team. And they made you feel
the Sixers trying to tie up the game with 21.5. Oh, they took a timeout.
We got a 108 versus 105. Houston Rockets in Philly going up against the Sixers. 21.5 left as the Sixers call timeout. But yeah, bro, like it's hard in the NFC right now to just be fluky dookie. That's why, like I'm looking at the 49ers, just like, yo, if you're gonna go on a run, it gotta be now. And guess what? You got the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football. A banger. We got a straight banger for Sunday Night Football. I like the NFC versus AFC matchups that are on the slate. Because now it's like they're making those matchups mean more because of the standings and just looking at everything.
That's what I'm trying to get to. Here we go. Loading up the standings right now.
I mean, Mikey had the Commanders Cowboys game on most of the time, and I'm peeking because I got Jaden Daniels everywhere. I'm looking at my fantasy score, and I'm kind of just waiting for some points because it just for a while it felt like it was like 13-6 for about an hour and a half, and then all of a sudden in the last 5 minutes things started happening.
Yeah, with the lines going 10-1. Matter of fact, how do the lines here? Let's look at the playoff bracket.
I wonder how Kat is doing. I don't know if Matt is tuned in, but Matt, I know you picked Karl Anthony Towns for the King of the Court today. I'm interested to know how he's doing. I want to know who gets that bonus bet tomorrow. I went with LaMelo, and he dropped 49. He went off tonight, so hopefully he's the king of the hill.
So, tie-breaking procedures. Oh, I thought it was going to show. But yeah, the playoff picture as is. Chiefs, the 1 seed, Bills, Steelers, Texans, Ravens, Chargers, Broncos. The bubble. The Dolphins 5-6, the Colts 5-7,
Bengals, Browns, Jets, Titans,
Patriots,
Jaguars, and the Raiders.
They haven't been officially eliminated. They'll probably get eliminated this weekend.
Yeah, mathematically,
these 3-2-9 teams, I expect them all to lose.
The mathematically eliminated.
They're probably going to get mathematically eliminated now.
It is the time of year where you can only take so many losses before that is it, and it's an intense 1 p.m. slate, like going down this week. I have it pulled up right here. Getting past the turkey and getting past, Thanksgiving, you got the Houston Texans, who just like the Commanders are trying to find their footing and get right, going up against the Jaguars team, who's potentially bringing their franchise guy back. Maybe they saw what we did to the Texans last week and said to themselves, hey, let's try to stick it to these guys too and see what happens in the South. You've got the Colts versus the Patriots. Means a lot for the Colts still, who are, in the mix. Chargers versus Falcons. Again, AFC versus NFC. Tough loss for the Chargers on Monday Night Football. Falcons team coming off of the bye week. Can they work out the kinks? A perfect matchup between two teams. One, a division leader, and two, we're talking about a 5th or 6th seed in the playoffs where, what's going to give here? Is Justin Herbert going to have a get-right game against this Falcons secondary, or will the Falcons make things just a little bit more difficult for the LA Chargers? And not to mention a looming Thursday night football game for the Chargers with the Denver Broncos. So this is an important matchup this week for the Chargers. You got to go. You got to get this
matchup for Denver too. The Browns just snuck out. Listen, 2 of the 3 wins the Browns have. Tell me who their opponents were.
Ravens, Steelers.
Yep. So who's to say if they can't go into Denver with their defense? Browns defense is good.
I like Denver a lot on Monday night. I like Bo Nix on Monday Night Football, bro. I like the way he's playing.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say if Jameis Winston's been starting the whole season, I think that the Browns will be 7-5, 6-6 at this point.
They'd be more. This game would mean a lot more for them. I don't think they're making
Jameis
a run.
is going in there to play because he's looking for someone to take a chance on him next year.
That's all he knows. New York Giants. 1-year
deal.
A little 1-year deal for the New York Giants next year.
Someone's got to want him. Who's to say? Who's to say it's not the Browns? Who's to say the Browns look at Deshaun afterwards and say, "Listen, it's between you and Jameis this off season. I know we owe you a lot of money, but we're willing to do it if it means."
Browns would have won more games if Jameis was starting from week 1.
I think that team
they'd be like a 5-7.
Is more committed to him.
5-7. But this game would be so big for them right now. At 5-7 going in against 7-5, playing for that same wild card spot.
It's important to see how the rookie is going to respond in a situation of this matter.
It's a big game. He's looked good. And, he
lost overtime.
I like the way he looked against the Chiefs. They lost because of the football gods on that one. I mean, Bo Nix.
Right now, they wouldn't be 7-5. They'd be 8-4.
Believe. Hey, but they're 7-5, and they have a playoff spot right now.
Yes, they do.
And they are holding steady a lot more than a lot of other AFC teams.
He's playing really good football. He played, it was the Raiders, but he played really good.
He's been doing against a lot of teams.
That's why it's going to be really impressive to do this against the Browns defense.
I'll be more impressed if he can do it against the Chargers, because the Chargers beat them.
Yeah.
Chargers took that win over them, and this next Chargers-Broncos matchup is the biggest one that they've had in years. Both teams are in contention
Chargers
right now.
looked great in the first half. Scores 14-13. You're losing by 1. I'm like, wow. Maybe the Chargers are actually going to shut people up and win a game like this.
Quentin Johnson.
And the running game just went crazy.
Quentin Johnson just with the drops again. He came back. Whatever that was that he had, and then it left
I didn't
for a
see
while.
the second half. I went to bed. I was tired. I was beat.
It was brutal. It was brutal.
I seen that the other Chargers touchdown came in the last minute where it really didn't matter.
I needed Quentin Johnson to get me 18 points in On the Money Sports, and I would have beaten Mikey. He gave me nothing. A goose egg on Monday Night Football is hard to come back from, especially when I left Rashad Bateman on the bench, and he gets that big touchdown from Lamar Jackson. It was one of those things that I was dwelling on, thinking about starter sit. And I went with Quentin Johnson, and it's tough because when you have that seed of doubt in a player, that seed of doubt carries into an even bigger week 13 where I'm looking at Quentin Johnson right now. I'm looking at my other flex options. And I'm starting Jacoby Myers tomorrow over Quentin Johnson in On the Money Sports. Friday. But it's just one of those things where you gotta pick players that are sort of in that same bracket. Maybe you're thinking about Noah Brown. Maybe you're thinking about Westbrook Akine. You're looking at the streak that he's on and saying to yourself, he scores a touchdown every week. Do I ride the wave until he doesn't? Calvin Ridley at this point is a no-brainer start. DJ Moore, after the week that he put up, I'm telling you guys, I don't think the Bears aren't going to win tomorrow, but I think that Bears players are going to be very good for fantasy purposes if you're trying to get that advantage going into Sunday. If you don't want to wait for Sunday, you don't want to wait for Black Friday, that 12:30 slate game could potentially be the one. I like Jameson Williams. I like David Montgomery playing against his old team. The Lions have lost their last 7 Thanksgiving games. They have not won a Thanksgiving game in a very long time. The last time the Cowboys and the Lions both won on Thanksgiving was 1994.
Oof.
Here's some Thanksgiving stats for you.
Like 10 years old.
There's shit that just happens. It's a weird day.
That's 31 years ago, guys.
You know, like I'm not saying the Bears are gonna win, bro.
Oh, the 94 season.
You know, you guys have been saying it all year long. Jared Goff ain't been all that. So who, like, is he gonna turn it on tomorrow?
He hasn't been throwing touchdowns, but he's been dead ass accurate.
Very efficient. Sometimes you need more than that 230 yards, though.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like you need.
What happens is the run game's so effective. You got games where Montgomery scoring 2 touchdowns a game, or it's Gibbs scoring 2 touchdowns a game.
Yeah.
Or the defense scored a touchdown, and
the running game has been so
there's
good.
no need for him to be going in air. And I think
also they don't have to make mistakes.
It's also why I think Laporta's numbers are down. It's why I think Amon St. Brown's numbers are down.
Yeah, but Amon's still putting up numbers. Like, Laporta stinks. That was the consensus tight end 1 going into this year. Don't ever disrespect Brock Bowers like that again.
Every draft I was in,
he's garbage.
In every draft I was in, I picked him at least the earliest 3rd or 4th round.
Dalton Kincaid has been mid and is still outscoring Laporta without really outscoring him by much.
Chris Boswell has outscored all tight ends. And he's a kicker.
Well, the lower tier tight ends, like Bowers, is he outscoring Bowers?
I don't know. I gotta look it up.
McBride just had 30 fantasy points this past week. McBride got peppered with targets. Unfortunately, the combination of McBride and Sutton going crazy was part of why I beat you, because before that, you had me against the ropes. It was looking good for the Tribal Chiefs. And then my 4 p.m. guys, I got home and I'm putting the TV on and I just keep seeing Sutton and McBride just keep getting catches. I'm like, yo, I'm looking at the score. I'm saying, so holy shit. Because I knew I still had A.J. Brown left to play. And you still had, who was your last play? McConkey. You had McConkey. I had A.J. Brown, but I had the lead going into Monday night. So I knew A.J. was going to do A.J. type things. Courtland Sutton is a must start, guys. Courtland Sutton is a must start. It's a beautiful thing for the rookie Bo Nix to have a viable wide receiver like a Courtland Sutton, who is putting up numbers with the best of them right now in fantasy football. Like Calvin Ridley and Courtland Sutton are outproducing a lot of the big name wide receivers.
McConkey.
What can you do, man? Did he get a touchdown?
No.
Oh. Yeah, you're right. I forgot he didn't.
It makes me sad.
Gus Edwards got a touchdown, though. Gus Edwards. Josh Palmer could have gotten a couple, but he just can't.
That's one that got overthrown, too.
And then the pass interference. It's just like, I put a straight bet on Josh Palmer, so I was frustrated about that. I put a straight bet on Deontay Johnson, so I was frustrated about that because apparently he hasn't done anything since like week 8.
You know what the problem is with that?
I haven't seen him in a month and a half.
Lamar's just going to keep throwing to his guys then. Lamar is one of those guys that whoever catches the ball, he's going to throw to.
He doesn't give a shit about Deontay Johnson right now.
Nelson Aguilar.
The Rashad Bateman connection is back.
Rashad Bateman.
And,
Flowers.
When you think about it with Rashad Bateman, it's kind of unfair. We forget how often he gets injured. So when he's not on the field, you can't give the guy looks. But when he's been on the field, like Rashad Bateman over the years has had those games where he kind of just goes a little crazy, right? He's gotten those 30-point games where you say to yourself, damn, Bateman, like, okay, but he can't stay on the field. So when you drop him back in the waiver wire, you forget about him.
You don't feel as bad.
And you got a guy whose projection doesn't look as sexy going into the week because he's projected like a 7.9 or like an 8.6 or whatever. But, he went out there and he got his bonus points this past week. And he got a touchdown that a lot of us were betting on potentially Zay Flowers or Deontay Johnson like myself to potentially get. Nope. It's Bateman. Bateman's getting looks. Mark Andrews is getting looks. Likely's getting a few of them. Derrick Henry's running the ball well.
And speaking of the Ravens, Ravens, Eagles this Sunday.
Huge. Again, AFC versus NFC. That's the big 4 o'clock game. Battle of the Birds. You know, both teams coming off wins. Both teams looking strong. One team in the lead in their division. The other team looking up.
Lamar Jackson's record against NFC teams.
He owns them. There's a lot of interesting factors going into this football game. You know, the terrible secondary of the Baltimore Ravens and what the Eagles can potentially do to exploit that. You know, Derrick Henry's struggles against the Eagles. Well, the last time they played, but before that, with Mariota,
23-3.
Derrick Henry did his thing.
23-3 is Lamar Jackson's record against the NFC.
Eagles defense going up against the Ravens offense.
Is the Eagles pass rush going to hurt without Brandon Graham now?
Is the number one ranked defense. How are you going to go into your first game without Graham up against a high-powered Ravens offense that can put up points?
Is Roquan Smith going to play for the Ravens this week with his hamstring?
Who's going to be on A.J. Brown? You know, as far as the secondary goes, is Kyle Hamilton going to be back in the mix? Because Kyle Hamilton is their best defensive player. You know, front seven is the front seven, but that can only hold up for so long.
Rashad Bateman so far this season, 35 receptions on 55 targets, 574 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns, 16.4 in average. Not bad for a number 2.
It's cutting into. It's definitely like you look across the board at the number 2s around the league. Like he's putting up those numbers. He's on the field more. He's healthier, and we're seeing like a healthy Rashad Bateman is a Rashad Bateman. Like the guy's putting up flex numbers, weekly flex numbers. You know, and the weeks that aren't so good, you sort of just you cut the odds with that, and you just accept it for what it is because he is an active part of this new Ravens offense.
Let me check something else. The next question is not to be a hater. It really isn't. I'm not wishing doom and gloom. Derrick Henry has 221 carries already. Saquon Barkley has 223 carries. If they continue to get the ball this much, what is it? There are 4 games left? 5 games?
Yeah.
Could this hurt them in the playoffs? Having that many touches?
You know what? I think they're both going to sit week 18, so no. I think they're going to get an extra week off. I think both teams are going to be in a position where they might not need to play all their starters, so they're not going to. We've seen it. It's a new trend all year. Like, the teams that still have something to fight for are going to start their guys.
And that's something on this podcast we also said. It could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing.
Well, it's good as far as rest for the running back. It's bad as far as the team. Because
then
it's not just on the running back. Yeah, you might come out a little flat. So, but as far as like the rest that the running backs need, like Barkley and Henry should be fine, because of how the offenses that they're a part of, like what is going on and the moving parts in those offenses. Overall, team wise, we're gonna have to see. To me, both those teams are looking like teams that are going to be playing wild card weekend. I don't know if the Eagles get the 1 seed from Detroit. They have a shot to do it. The same thing for the Ravens. It's a little bit harder for them, but I could see both these teams playing wild card weekend. So you have your bye week, which is week 18, after having clinched already. You know, because the Eagles are playing the Giants, and I forgot who the Ravens got on week 18. I think it's the Bengals. Pull it up real quick.
No, they already played the Bengals twice.
Ravens. Pull up the Ravens schedule right here. I got you. We're doing this on the fly tonight.
Yeah, we are.
The Browns. So, are you going to start everybody against the Browns? Like, they're not playing for nothing.
Meanwhile, the Lions tomorrow have the Bears. Next week on Thursday Night Football, they got the Packers. Then they're home for the Bills. Then they got the Bears, and then they got the 49ers and Vikings.
Tough.
They got a tough stretch
way to
now.
end. You're going to be playing teams that need wins still. So that counts for something, and that's big in this league. And you're ending the season with a divisional matchup against a currently 9-2 Minnesota Vikings team that is just waiting for you to slip up once. You know, that we talked our shit on Minnesota. We didn't believe their record, and now they're sitting at 9-2, and they're one game out of first in the North. So it needs to be acknowledged in case anything happens.
For the Eagles, they have the Ravens this week.
Tough.
Then they're home for the Panthers, home for the Steelers.
Tough.
At Washington.
Must win for the Washington.
Home for the Cowboys.
Cupcake.
Home for the Giants.
Cupcake.
They may lose this one more time the rest of the year.
Yep. It'll either be the Steelers or the
Ravens.
Ravens.
They're probably going to beat the Steelers because the Steelers haven't won there since like 1961. So,
oof.
Yeah.
Tough. So would it be this week? Would it be against Baltimore? And then they go on a run?
History shows Lamar Jackson doesn't lose to the NFC.
Yeah. He really has a good time against NFC teams. I'm looking forward to it.
Do I want the Ravens to win? Absolutely not.
I mean, we know. We know that.
For my purposes, I would love to see the Ravens lose, but I just don't see it. Lamar just plays really good against NFC teams.
Yeah.
That's why if they reach the Super Bowl, it's probably a given they're going to win the Super Bowl. Or wouldn't that be the place for him to lose in the biggest stage of all?
Imagine that, getting past Mahomes and then losing in the bowl.
After you're 20 whatever against an NFC opponent.
I mean, it is the Ravens. They're very theatrical when it like they. One thing about the Ravens, they have some great playoff moments and they have some heartbreaking playoff moments.
Falcons had off last week. Are they going to finally get it together, or?
Well, looking at
are they going to fade away?
Looking at their division right now, the Bucs are currently one game out of the lead in the division at 5-6. Falcons are only 6-5. Falcons should have won a lot of games that they ended up losing. The Denver Broncos bullied the Falcons going into the bye week, so they're going to have to come out and make a statement against a LA Chargers team that needs that win too. Like the Chargers,
they're 2-3 in their last 5 games.
They've been slipping.
However, the Bucs have been 1-4 in their last 5 games, but a lot of that has to do with not having Mike Evans
and playing the best teams in football and losing to those really good teams. And now they got Mike Evans back, and they have a cupcake schedule.
They were another one of those teams that almost beat the Chiefs.
And they got Carolina this week, and they're going to beat Carolina. You know, so the Bucs have an opportunity to go on a little bit of a run. And, that's the other team that if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you don't want to go to Tampa. You don't want to – or Tampa come to you at this point. Screw it. Like, Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been the Eagles' kryptonite low-key for a while when it comes to the playoffs, dating back to 2002. Like, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the Eagles' number. They've been beating them consistently, and it's one of those things where, hell, maybe you do want to face them to get that monkey off of your back as far as Jalen Hurts and as far as the NFC side, because – whether it was Baker Mayfield, whether it was Tom Brady.
Round of the playoffs, Baker Mayfield beats them again. This town would not know how to react.
Yeah, because there's no Philly team left to bring you anything. The Sixers ain't going to do it. Sorry, but the Phillies couldn't do it for you. It ain't going to be the Flyers. So the Eagles are your last hope. This run that the Eagles are on right now for the regular season, you better hope it doesn't end in that epic collapse from the 10-1 year. Like, because this right here is all Philly fans have, is how far the Eagles can take them. I've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
So, ride the wave. You guys look great right now. Nothing really you could say about a team that's winning this often, this consistently. 7-game winning streak. You're going up against a real test with the Baltimore Ravens. And hell, you know what? If the Eagles lose this week, it's not a big deal. Because that'll only be your 3rd loss. And you just move right along, and your last 3 games are against the Commanders, the Cowboys, and the Giants. Like, the Commanders don't scare anybody as much as they used to. Eagles have no reason to be afraid of the Cowboys. And for the Giants game, the Eagles can mess around, bench all their starters, and still win that football game. So, like, just a question of, without Brandon Graham, is that defense going to be able to maintain that same energy going up against a big test with a team that likes to run the football, and they can run the football. They can also throw the football. So big questions should be answered on both sides, because now we're getting some of the heavyweight matchups that we've been looking forward to. We know who the heavyweights are, and now it's, the clash of the giants with a lot of these teams. I love the NFC versus AFC like showdowns, though, because it feels like a lot of them are just important, I know our team is shit. Like, our record is shit right now, but our game is still important. It still means something.
The Commanders need to win that game more than y'all do.
Like, they need to just breathe. Like, right now, the Commanders need that breather. Because last week, again, it was 13-6 for a very long time. It was one of those things where, as a Commanders fantasy owner, I was like, come on, guys. Like I'm waiting for the Cowboys to look as bad as they have looked. They didn't look that bad on Sunday. And not to mention their DST, if you had them, you're getting extra touchdowns from the special teams running it back. Like you're getting Turpin with his big play, the onside kick that failed and turned into another touchdown. Like I'm telling you, bro, that game, for as lame as it was for a large portion of it, some of the moments from that game got the biggest pops of the day in the lounge. Because it was just like, no way he missed that extra point.
Well, the Bears
no way
almost
he ran it back.
Comeback.
Yes.
Getting the onside kick to end the game, then getting 3 plays in, kicking the field goal to tie it. But they had the ball first, and they failed to score.
Bears-Vikings was...
And they couldn't stop the Vikings.
And even with more time, Justin Jefferson still couldn't give us more. It was Jordan Addison who was out there.
And T.J. Hawkinson.
Balling. T.J. Hawkinson, another name. Somebody that, since the injuries, he's like another guy who's outscoring Laporta, pretty much, I should say. T.J. Hawkinson has easily put himself in top 10 tight end conversation with only like 2 or 3 weeks under his belt because it's been that bad. Like, after what we saw from Okongwu last week, the 70-yard, touchdown run, how many of you who don't have a Bowers or a McBride are looking for an Okongwu? Because, I'm sorry, but Taysom Hill ain't going to be there. The way we're seeing Taysom Hill get used, whoever picked him up a couple weeks ago,
you know what's going to happen? Somebody's going to start Taysom Hill in a playoff game, and he ain't going to do shit, and you're just going to hear everybody bitching the next day. Taysom Hill sucks, blah, 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 but they're going to forget the couple games that Taysom Hill helped them win to get them in.
The only thing that saves Taysom Hill getting more burn is the fact that we don't know when Chris Olave is coming back. This Saints team is just missing. I don't think
Chris Olave is coming back at all this season.
This Saints team is missing.
Take, I think Chris Olave gets traded during the offseason.
Like Taysom Hill is their spark. Alvin Kamara is their running back, but Taysom Hill is the spark of the Saints offense. They pull Carr off the field for Taysom Hill to go out there and do what he does. He's got 24% of the carries for the team offense. So he's out. He's the running back too. He's the quarterback too sometimes, and he's the tight end one. So as of right now, like he's a strong ass play. I do agree though. Eventually, there's going to come that day where it's not going to be as good, but they're using him more now than they ever have based on their situation. So like, why not go with it? Like,
I get it.
If you got Hill, you play Hill. Because he's going to give you. I'm
not mad at that thought process.
Like, he's going to give you more points than probably Laporta. For sure.
Here comes a shot.
Probably Laporta. I know you're definitely benching him tomorrow, right? You can't start him tomorrow. Are you going to start Laporta? Oh, shit. All right.
I'm not afraid. It is what it is.
Good for you.
If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down in my own heaping pile of flames.
See, I guess, like, it's nice. It's like when my tight end decisions are like, oh, George Kittle in 2 leagues must start. Brock Bowers and McBride in leagues must start. K-Dot in there, plug him in if I can at the flex. Like I managed to try to get some of the best tight ends everywhere so I didn't have to torture myself. Okongwu, as much as I love what he did, I'm keeping him on the bench this week.
Ooh, what happened here?
Commanders are good against the tight ends. So I think that it's a good game for Tony Pollard against the Commanders defense that is really not good against the run. So we're going to have to see like how that plays out as far as some of the matchups.
JK out of that lineup.
J.K. Dobbins out, and it's also sounding like he is going to be out for more than just next week. So everybody who, jumped ahead of the game and picked up Gus Edwards this past week, like good play, because it's a play that can carry you not just through week 13, but a week 14 where I'm telling you everybody's going to be off. There's going to be so many buys, and you're going to be thanking your lucky stars that you have a viable running back one option. Now, Gus Edwards has not looked great this year. Kamani Vidal could potentially be a thing in that, in that room. But it's just nice to have somebody that you can at least put in the flex spot. It just guaranteed carries. And at this time of year, that's what you want. That's what you need. You need volume. And hopefully it's a volume play and not so much this guy's going to go out there and get you 150 rushing yards, because I don't see that. But if he can fall into the end zone a couple times, you're golden. Like, you're good. I like Tyrone Trace. I like every running back that is playing tomorrow more than I like Gus Edwards. But I like Gus Edwards as a waiver wire pickup because of the situation. So I like Tracy. I like Dowdle. I love Jacobs. A-Chain could potentially be an awesome play. He might be the one that like primarily moves the rock well for Tua and them if they're ready to win a game in the cold. I think Josh Jacobs could potentially get 2 touchdowns. Don't ask me which Packers receiver is going to be the one to score because I don't know how that's going to play out as far as them. Damn, Jalen Green, 41 points, player of the game. As the Rockets get another W, back-to-back nights. Last night was against the Wolves. Tonight's against the Sixers. I'll take both dubs. Day off tomorrow for us to regroup. Just be able to get some rest. We're actually doing pretty good in this NBA Cup thing too, so that makes that more interesting for me to watch on Tuesdays and Fridays. And as a bettor, on Tuesdays and Fridays, it's good to bet the overs because teams are trying to get those points. Points are a thing in the Cup race, so it is an important
bad
aspect.
for Nick Nurse, man.
You can't control any of it. What are you
You know what I mean?
What are you gonna do?
Like, so hey Nick, we're gonna give you a bunch of injured players. How do you feel about that?
Just keep collecting the check because you work for a dumbass organization.
I will say this though.
They can't blame you for this.
I will say this: the team's playing hard for them.
As long as
The kids
checks
that are out
coming in.
there are playing their ass off.
Because it's an opportunity for them. They're playing for free. It's an opportunity for them to get their money because the big guys are missing. So it's no pressure basketball. You're a bad team, and it's an opportunity for the younger players on the Sixers to showcase
And it
what
looks
they
like
can do.
This guy's got the Rockets on the right path.
This will put us at 14-6 or 15-6 right now. So yeah, we're definitely playing ball right now. We won yesterday in OT, I believe it was. Or I think it was maybe it was like the final minute of regulation. We were down and we scored 3 straight times on Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. And then Sengun hit the 2 small posts in Minnesota. So definitely it's a good time to be a Rockets fan right now. Definitely seeing a trend upward for us, and I'm excited to see where it leads. But still very early in the season, so rack up the wins now, and hopefully we can get a few more as the season progresses and gets a little bit tougher for us once everybody starts trying,
Looks like the Washington Redskin name's coming back.
Good.
Commanders is just a bad name.
It's just not. All the fans are still showing up in their gear, man. Like you can't make them not be Redskins fans. Like that's
you can't
their.
tell them, don't wear that.
Like before you wanted to go into
Look
the
at
cancel
Carlos.
culture
Carlos
of everything.
refuses to call them the Commanders.
I don't know any Washington fan that I've known. I haven't they don't call them the Commanders, dog. Like they don't say that. they still call them the Redskins. I'm sorry, but we're talking about people's history. Like some of these people grew up watching that team with their father, with their uncle, with their grandfather. Like some of that heritage of being the fan it's like passed down generationally. So it's hard for you to just one day up and change the name. Like you don't change that love for that name or that team and those memories.
North Carolina is interested in Arthur Smith to be their next head coach.
Interesting. My boy's getting jobs. Good for him. Hey.
Fight Night is being officially developed for the PS5 and Xbox.
Nice. Arthur Smith, remember, 10 years with us. We gave you the opportunity to be the offensive coordinator, made you look like a genius that year, got you a lot of employment all over the place. Titans were getting a lot of people jobs. Meanwhile, keeping the guys that we
Speaking of Deontay Johnson, in his 4 games, 5 targets, 17 routes, 1 catch, 6 total yards. I feel like they don't even need him.
Nobody needs him right now until proven otherwise. Now watch him go off in the playoffs, like the real playoffs. Like Deontay Johnson has like a huge playoff game to get them to the AFC title game or something. And it's one of those things where you're just like, wow, now we see it all the time. Like once the fantasy season is over, you have that one player that didn't do shit in the fantasy year, and then the playoffs start, and he's just carrying the team on his back. Watch it be like Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman, another player that I stashed in All the Money Sports. Partly because I have Josh Allen, so I'm, gotta have that stack right now just in case things get murky. But stash Keon through the bye. Hope that he's healthy and hope that he could potentially make some noise because I'm going to need him on this stretch. There's nothing guaranteed for me in that league. Let's go, Chris. Let's go, Titans. Beat the Commies this weekend. Hopefully my Birds can do the Steelers a solid on Sunday as well. Yeah, there's a lot of between our three divisions, a lot of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours going on with some of these matchups and how they're playing out. Like we were just talking about, like the Commanders need it bad. It's safe to say that right now we're playing with house money, but we are playing better football than we were in September and October. And the Washington Commanders, compared to how they were playing football in September and October to now, it's a little bit alarming as far as their situation. We got numbers wise, we're the number one pass defense in football, and we're a top 5 run defense in football. So it's going to be interesting to see. However, we're not good against quarterbacks that can run. So if the Commanders win this football game, it has to be because Jaden Daniels is out there making these 40-yard runs, duping our defense, maybe stupid penalties on our part, which will lead to helping them down the field. I feel like we cleaned that up this past week compared to in weeks past. But we just played a fraud Houston Texans team and proved their fraud. So maybe this week we have the opportunity to expose another fraud team. I had him as my sleeper up until this point, but for right now, like, we're not the team that you want to face when you need to get a W under your belt. That's for sure. Our defense is playing really good without Ladarius Sneed. I don't know, man. Can the Commanders beat us? Of course. Will they? We're going to find out. They're going to have to beat us. That's the only way, because we're not giving out free wins.
No free wins?
We're not giving out free wins. It's clear as day what we're trying to do.
All those teams fall off a cliff in the second half. That is a correct assessment.
Man, even prior to heading into this matchup this week, a couple weeks ago, we talked about the potential for the season to sort of catch up to the Commanders as far as for the rookie, for things to start to slow down. And look at where we're at. 7-5, 7-5. Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. But why do we feel so much better all of a sudden about the Broncos 7-5 than we do the Commanders 7-5? When they've been just the way you look. Like it's how you look out
ever
there.
Since Bo Nix yelled at Sean Payton on the sideline,
they're winning football games.
He's winning football games and he's looking good.
It's a recency bias of the past month where we could say the Denver Broncos have been playing better football than the Commanders. Very, very realistic situation, or very similar situation between the two football teams who are both second in their division, well, third in the Broncos' perspective, with the rookie quarterback. They're a fluky Hail Mary away from 6-6. You're not wrong, bro. I mean, that moment did get a pop as well because we all needed those fantasy points from Jaden Daniels. But, let's not act like, they ran away with that football game. That was that was a Hail Murray type of play. The Kyler Murray play against the Bills, like, that was kind of what that play was for that football game. It's going to be a real test. It's going to be a real test. But the realist in me doesn't like how much Will Levis is getting hit. So if the Commanders' front four can just bring pressure, like Will Levis just got sacked 8 times last week. Like, yes. The Commanders can get sacks this week if this offensive line doesn't play the part. So low-key, the difference in this game could potentially be the Commanders' defense ability to generate sacks, generate turnovers off of our offense, and put Jaden Daniels and the Commanders in like easy scoring positions. Like, you get the ball back at the 20, you're in the red zone. You can get 3 points at least. It's one of those things where this could end in a 24-21, but like put the offense in easy positions so that you need this win. Go get that touchdown.
Have you talked yourself into a win this week?
Oh, I'm not scared of the Commanders. We could beat them. We could potentially go out there and beat them. Yeah, if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna go out there and beat the fraud Texans, we have the opportunity to potentially expose the Commanders as frauds. Let's just go on a fraud rampage. Let's expose every team on the way to an 8-8 record. We'll host the Houston Texans in Tennessee, and we'll see if the Texans can beat us the second time around. And if they can't, then you know what that means? That means the Tennessee Titans ran the tables and are now in the playoffs. How do you like that? How do you like that for a story? The toughest teams that we have to face are this Sunday and our game against Cincinnati. Every other team on our schedule, cupcake. We already beat one of the biggest ones in the Houston Texans. They're chumps. We got 2 against Jacksonville, 1 more against the Colts, which is basically a playoff game. The Bengals game, every game is a playoff game for us, so I don't even care. So what? You got to beat us. If you don't beat us, we have a good draft position. If you do beat us, don't look now, but at 4-8, shit's just going to look and feel different. If our defense comes out and generates turnovers the way that they did this past week, we're getting safeties, we're getting sacks, we're getting interceptions, we're getting the ball downfield. A wide receiver that, look, Tyler Boyd had like 60 to 80-something yards. I can't remember. Chigokongwo, massive play. Calvin Ridley, massive plays. Westbrook Akine, touchdown. Tony Pollard. The Commanders are the second worst team at stopping the run. The Commanders don't stop anybody as far as the run game goes. We've been seeing it each and every week. I don't know. I'm confident in Pollard's abilities. Hell, Tajay Spears might make an appearance and do some damage in the run game for us this week. It ain't a guarantee for us to win, but the Commanders definitely ain't a guarantee to beat us at this point. I still think Washington maybe finishes 10-7 or 9-8, but if they're not careful, it can spiral quick. There's a whole lot of mid in the NFC right now. We were talking earlier about, the records of the Vikings, the Packers, what their record is going to look like with a win. It's tough to be 9-8 if that's what happens with Washington and potentially keep yourself in that spot. All the other NFC teams, like the teams in the NFC West, all those other teams are probably rooting for the Commanders to keep losing because it opens things up for the records that aren't so pretty. But now is the time to go out there and get your playoff spot. Now's the time to try to keep pace and get ahead.
Yeah.
Defense is good, should keep you in games. I love my defense. I love my defensive coordinator. My biggest fear right now is that he ends up taking another job somewhere next year because right now he's got this secondary playing at a level that I have not seen in a very long time. We are the number 1 ranked pass defense since week 1. That's without Awuzie and without Ladarius Sneed, our 2 biggest signings at the cornerback position. So we're doing this with just guys. It's a coaching thing as far as that. So it's going to be interesting for Scary Terry. Like, what's going to happen? Can he break off another huge game at the end when the Commanders need it most? Because I was pretty worried as a Scary Terry owner against the freaking Dallas defense. Who would have thought that? A few more losses and the Commies can get passed by the Cardinals, Rams, and etc. Yeah, because then all of a sudden they just don't have that. They don't have that advantage anymore. They don't have that 2-week advantage. The records start to look a little more similar. This is a huge game for the Arizona Cardinals against the Vikings. Let's say the Cardinals win. We're talking about a 7-5 Cardinals team and a Commies team who's already 7-5 with a bye week coming up next week. Late bye week, which could probably be the best thing in the world for them, especially if they lose this week. You get the bye week, you have the week off, and you kind of just reset. You get to your 10-7, which I think 10-7 gets you the 7 seed in the NFC, and you see where you go from there as far as who do you play. It's going to be tough if they have to end up going to Philly for 2 seed versus 7 seed, though. So you kind of want to get out of that 7 seed and get wins now.
It would probably be if it's the Commies that get the 7 seed, probably going over against either the Eagles or Detroit.
They don't want either one. Right in round 1, you're kind of hoping that you can get a team that's kind of, you know what I mean? Like a team that just gets to that spot. Not saying that the Rams are a better matchup for you. Like if the Rams win it, or if the freaking Cardinals manage, if we get a Cardinals and Commanders, hey, you're 1 game out. All you and the Vikings need is for the Lions to slip up once, and it dramatically changes the whole playoff picture. Because then, not the Lions fall to 5th. You have 2 bad weeks. when you think about it. 2 bad
when
weeks.
They win tomorrow and the Eagles lose to the Ravens Sunday, that would give them a 2-game stretch.
Yeah. You're right about that. You're right about that. It's so much going on. What a time to be alive.
I'm pretty sure to me the 49ers are done.
You're ready to ring the bell on the Niners?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They got too many losses in the division, too many losses in the NFC, period.
And then maybe another L this week against the Bills?
Oh, they're definitely losing to the Bills this week.
Bills coming off a bye week.
Well prepared.
Healthy.
Especially Brock Purdy may not be playing again.
Really? I didn't see the injury report for him. Also, Christian McCaffrey is playing worse and worse every week.
Because he's not healthy.
Has yet to get into the end zone.
Because he's not healthy.
You saw when they handed it off to Mason, and Mason was like trying to prove a point by the way he was running the rock. Like, it was just like, no, I'm the healthier back right now. I've been carrying you guys this whole time, and I'm gonna try to take it to the freaking.
He got faded as soon as McCaffrey came in, and it was the dumbest thing that happened. That dude was balling, and you just completely fade him. You heard what the Chiefs said today. It's gonna be rotation.
You fade your hot hand.
They're not fading away Kareem Hunt, and they're not just gonna give all these touches to Pacheco. You know what they said? Kareem Hunt's been playing really, really good.
Niners 0-3 in the division. That's ugly, dog. That's when you're not winning division games, it just makes everything even worse because you can't climb out of that hole when you're putting yourself in that divisional hole. You can't climb out of there. Like the rest of the AFC or the NFC can't see you when you're not being able to get those division wins under your belt. The best offensive weapon, the most consistent offensive weapon for the 49ers, George Kittle.
He was limited, but he barely threw.
That's bad, bro. We just talked about.
He attempted just 2 passes during the portion of practice that was seen to the media.
The West, you've got the Seahawks 6-5, Cardinals 6-5, Rams 5-6, 49ers 5-6. Like, you lose to any one of those other teams again, you don't get at least one NFC West win under your belt, you hang it up. It's feeling like you're going to go 5-7 after this week. Now, nothing says shot in the arm like the 49ers going into Sunday Night Football and getting a win against Buffalo.
Must be pretty
to
bad
just turn things around. Like that's right there. That's like that jolt of energy that you need is a win on Sunday Night Football against a good Buffalo team. You know?
With lake effect snow coming, that's going to be another sloppy game.
Deebo Samuel numbers been down.
Supposedly,
been doing anything.
It's going to be another sloppy game. Lake effect snow. Half a foot of it dropping during the game. I know it's not a potential blizzard like it was when they postponed the Steelers game a day instead of moving it up a day. Yeah, this game's not getting postponed because it doesn't look deadly. So, if Brandon Allen's your starting quarterback again, it's another L. You're 5-7.
That's gross. George Kittle.
Does Kyle Shanahan get placed on the hot seat?
George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, and Mason got you to this point. Did the best they could, at least. And now you faded the hot hand. Juwan Jennings is the best wide receiver. George Kittle is the best overall offensive weapon. You're trying to use CMC in a way where it's like what he was, but it's not what he is right now. And finally, I think it's time to address the fact, like, how long before the genius Kyle Shanahan seat starts to get hot after so many times of, being the class of the conference and then dropping the ball in the biggest moments. Like, nobody's going to remember anything but the choke jobs if you don't go out there and close it out with a championship. And it feels like this 49ers team is getting further and further away from that.
Ever since the loss happened at the Super Bowl, then the whole Brandon Ayuk drama, it just felt like this team was destined for this.
Detroit Lions took their spot at the top of the NFC. They took your spot. Can you get it back? I don't think so. I think you'd be lucky to have a spot the way you're playing football right now. Losses to the Seahawks, like they're just the way they're losing games, they're just going out sad. The turnovers. Last year was their best shot. I don't think that they go back. The window closes fast. The window closes fast. The regression that we predicted for the Bills hit the 49ers right in the face. Like a pie, dog. just like the rake that you step on under all the leaves. Like the regression that we predicted for Buffalo, the 49ers, it just completely just fell onto their shoulders. And it's getting to that point in the season where it's like, how long before you can turn it around? Playing football like this, don't think you can turn it around like that. It's going to take a whole lot more.
I think you're right.
And we talked about the gauntlet portion of their regular season in August. What we didn't expect was for them to trip up before they get to that gauntlet. So now some of those losses that we expected you to have, you're still going to have them, and it's just going to further remove you out of the conversation and elevate those Minnesota Vikings teams potentially, and elevate those Packers teams, and like, you know, like teams like the East and the North that can fit multiple teams into the playoffs are going to be banking on you to keep losing. Or because of you, those teams and those divisions are just going to have potentially a game 3 between one of their rivals because that spot is going to be occupied by them. I don't see us like the West could potentially just send one team to the playoffs. You got to win that division to make the playoffs. We don't trust the Seahawks. We don't trust the Cardinals.
Only one team's coming out of the NFC West.
We don't trust the Rams. We don't trust the Niners.
And they're going to probably come out with a 9-8, 10-7 record.
4 seed.
And they're going to have a worse record than the team they're going to play.
But then they're going to beat the Vikings. You're going to have a worse record, but then it's like Sam Darnold playoff game. So like no matter what, the NFC West is going to live as ugly as it looks right now because they get the perfect matchup, which is going to be the 5th seed, which is going to have more wins than anybody expected them to. And then you're going to go into the playoff game on the road. 3 teams are coming out of the North, most likely. Yeah, if the Packers string some more wins together, then there you go. You're going to have, because now we're talking about a 9-2 Vikings, who they're going to have to completely like fall off a cliff to miss the playoffs now.
I agree.
The Vikings are in contention for the division. The Vikings are in contention for the number 1 seed still. So a team like that is not just going to like go away.
Not at all.
So it's really on the Green Bay
Packers.
Packers.
I can still see the Vikings losing in the first round.
The Packers beating the 49ers meant so much for the Packers. Because if the Packers lose this game to San Francisco, it's the get-right game for the 49ers, a team that the 49ers have been able to own. So like the Packers were able to get a monkey off of their back and also put themselves in a position where now, like when you think about it, they could get that 6th seed. They can play the 3 seed. Anything can happen. We're talking about a 3 seed of what, Atlanta? Like
Atlanta or the Bucks?
Woo! Either one. Like anything can happen, bro. Like in those matchups, like anything can happen. So the Packers 49ers game is gonna have massive implications moving forward. Barring the Packers just looking shitty like how they have some of the weeks that we see them, where it's just like they just can't get the ball down the field and just interceptions. I don't think I would bet against them to miss the playoffs right now, looking around at everything else in the NFC. Because I don't think that the Commanders are a shoe-in to make the playoffs, and I think that the Titans have an opportunity to only complicate things for the 6 and 7 seed on that side.
I think the Commanders get back on the winning track this weekend.
8-5. I already said the key to doing it. Get your offense into easy scoring positions with turnovers, and Jaden Daniels is going to have to use his legs.
If the Commanders don't do it this weekend, then the Commanders might as well
lose next week. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it becomes. Like, when are you going to get it right? You know, like at that point, it's one of those things where, okay, if you lose this week, at what point do you figure you ran out of Giants games? You can't get that get right game anymore. They have us, followed by the Saints, which, I mean, that should be, you know. Then you got the Eagles, you got the Falcons, and you got the Cowboys, who are going up against you ready to play spoiler and are confident because they already know how to kind of slow your offense down up until the final couple minutes. So, yeah, like, they do need it this week. They do need it more than us. They're going to have to go and show that they want it more than us, though. That's the best way to best way to sum up that football game. Like, can you find that September, October magic that you had, or like similar to the Cardinals that one year? It's like after that one big Hail Mary play, you're just gonna like fizzle out of time and space. Like,
I get it.
I hope them ribs are healthy, dog, because he's gonna have to carry the Commanders.
I know one thing. There's a lot of y'all in fantasy hoping this isn't it for Jaden. A lot of yous are,
dude.
In order for Daniels to do good, the Commanders need to win. If the Commanders ain't winning, Daniels ain't doing nothing. For those of you who have Daniels in your fantasy league,
Last year, I watched right before the fantasy playoffs, the Tennessee Titans destroy the Dolphins and destroy my Dolphins stack right before my eyes, with the Titans having nothing to play for. And then I went into week 15 without Tyreek Hill, and I got eliminated because we absolutely wrecked a very fantasy viable team at a very vulnerable point in their season. So, look, I've got Jaden Daniels in 3 leagues. I'm thinking about starting Bo Nix over him in one of them. That's all I'm saying. Because there's a part of me that's just a little bit afraid. The fantasy part of me, not me playing feelings ball, because I need Jaden Daniels to be good. And last couple of weeks, he hasn't been good, and it's cost me in On the Money Sports. I'm on a 4-game losing streak. Because Jaden Daniels has not been putting up those eye-popping numbers, and I've been going up against teams that's quarterbacks have been. So we're going to see. I need another game like this past week. Get some points up, and let's beat them 32-27 again. Everybody score. Everybody score. Scary Terry, 60-yard touchdown. Tony Pollard, 50-yard run. Calvin Ridley, 70-yarder. Westbrook Akine. Hell, give me Jaden Daniels for a run-in touchdown himself. McNichols might get the start if they say that Eckler's ruled out. I might do the play on McNichols because McNichols. Because I don't know if Brian Robinson is for sure going to be a start either. They've been kind of careful with how they've been using Brian Robinson. And Jeremy McNichols has been sneaking into a lot of, especially red zone packages for this Commanders team. Like, McNichols has been scoring touchdowns all season long, and nobody's been, he when we look at him on the we're like, who was that? McNichols. Oh, and we just kind of go like that because, it's not the guy that you needed to score, but at this point in the season,
that's not Brian Robinson Jr.
You've seen his name enough to know, like, he gets in the end zone. Like, you gotta, I picked him up on waivers. That was like my biggest pickup of this week because I didn't really like anything else, and he may get the start somewhere just to get it out of my system, One wild card spot available for any of the other divisions. 3 teams. Yeah. Whew. Commanders win, and they solidify that. Like, the Commanders can lock up the NFC playoff picture this week with an 8-5 because that's going to be tough to overcome. And then the Packers win. All of a sudden, the NFC playoff picture gets locked up. But, like, Packers dropped the ball on Thanksgiving and are the first team to give the Dolphins a cold win. There's only so much dropping the ball you can do. And then you got teams like the Bucks that are trying to get themselves into position. And in the NFC West, I don't know who's going to win that division as of right now. Like, I really don't know. Seahawks are on top right now, but I don't know how that's going to finish. Because the team that I had favored to win it by a landslide isn't potentially going to do it. So, can the Rams do it? I hope, because that's my Super Bowl pick. But it's one of those things where it's like it has to start now. This is it. There's no next week. There's no waiting. If it ain't going to happen now, it ain't going to happen ever. That's it. That's the moral of the story going into week 13. Covered all the bases here, man. Covered all the bases. It was an action-packed episode. We had to do the extension, like when Monday Night Raw starts the main event at 11:05. Last ride at 7-5 is looking like they're going to make that push to get into the playoffs.
All it takes is one more win this weekend, and it's a wrap.
We were covering all the bases, and we're doing it now because from this week to next week, everything is going to look a lot different. A lot of teams are going to be eliminated. So we have to talk about it now because this is the last ride as far as talking about who gets in,
You done it now. You're gonna make a big mistake.
Shout out to Sick
I
Picks.
can't allow.
Yo, happy Thanksgiving, Chris. It's been a pleasure.
Happy Thanksgiving, brother. Thanksgiving to everybody in the forum.
Thanks for being the closer for the podcast tonight as we gear towards the end of the pod and coming through and breaking down a really interesting conversation for this NFC playoff race. It's actually fascinating the way it's playing out because everybody's got their tires in the mud and you're waiting for that one team that's just going to rev up and keep going.
One team out of the West. One team out of the East.
Hope that you're getting your cooking done and you can just sit back, relax. And
that's 2. One team out of the South would be 3.
Shout out to everybody in the forum.
Then you got in the North, you'll have 3, I think. So that's 3, 4, 5.
The one thing I'm thankful for is all of you guys.
The 7th
Happy Turkey Day, bro.
The 7th seed's gonna come down to the Bucks or the Commanders.
Bucks, Commanders, Bucks can't
or Falcons.
Falcons 7 seed, yeah. I could see the Falcons getting the 7 seed. Losing the division, getting the 7 seed. Well, they have 2 wins against the Bucks, right? They sweat, so that's what's helping them. The fact that they got a sweep, so they got to if they can stay 2 games ahead of Tampa, they're good because they got that tiebreaker no matter what. But this time of year, I mean, I look at the Bucs schedule, I look at the Falcons schedule right now. Bucs got to deal with the Panthers, and the Falcons got to deal with the Chargers. So after this week, they could have identical records, and then your advantage goes out the window the following week, depending on who you have to play. And I know if you're Atlanta, it's been kind of a disappointing year for them, and it will be even more disappointing to come out of the bye week and lose again. It's just like, are we frauds too? Like, this is it. Like, if you're a fraud, you're getting exposed. That's it. The light is shining on you because you're in these big matchups late in the season, and you're expected to win. So if you do not meet expectations, then you are no different than any team that hasn't met their expectations and is on the outside looking in. Like, are you going to lose your spot, or are you going to claim your part at the big table for the tournament dance?
Hopefully Kirk Cousins could start to look like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, hopefully. I know a lot of fantasy managers
hopefully over the
weekend
on they figured out to stop giving the ball to Tyler Algier inside the 10-yard line.
Shit, Jaden Daniels is on
bye. Obviously, he's not scoring touchdowns, so how about you keep it to your most talented, most productive running back in Bijan Robinson?
Jaden Daniels is on bye next week, so I need Kirk Cousins. I will be starting Kirk Cousins next week in the matchup that they have. I don't remember who they're playing. Doesn't matter because the only 2 quarterbacks that I have on the roster are Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins. So I need Kirk to go out there, put the chains on, do the little dance, I need Kirk to get his swagger back. I like how Stella got her groove back. I need him to find his swagger, put on the gold chains, Kirk coat chains or whatever they called you. I need you to find that guy. I need you to find him. I need the team to rally around that. And I need you to get the ball to Drake London more than anything else. Get the ball to Drake London. I don't care about anything. Get that man the football. Use your wide receiver 1. And again, like it's been a fairly pro Falcons podcast here. Like, we've been with these guys this whole time. Like, go out there and win some football games.
I'm a big Bijan believer.
I hope you're enjoying your Friendsgiving, bro, and I hope that you're going to enjoy your Thanksgiving tomorrow. It's inevitable that I see you. We're like in every group chat together, but I hope that you're enjoying the quality time with family. I'm thankful for
Chris,
you. I'm thankful for all of you guys.
Should I still not disrespect the Giants by saying they're going to have less wins than the Patriots?
They're swimming in the same pool.
Well, they're swimming.
And guess what? Somebody peed in it, and it might have been one of you. Maybe it was the Raiders, but you're all swimming in the same area right now.
Go Cowboys.
Wow. Go Cowboys. Just because you mentioned it, you mentioned the last ride. I had to pull up the standings right now. In the last ride, it's March Madness style.
The top 8 make the playoffs. So as of right now, Ant is in first place. District 12 is at number 2. You got District 12 out without Burrow and Chase.
Yeah, you got the stick-up kids. Mike D at 7-5 right now. The last ride sitting at 7-5 with the 4 seed. From here, you've got an interesting 4-way tie between the 5-way tie between the 5 to 9 seeds, all at 6 and 6. You've got Alexi, you've got Aaron, you've got Bobby, you've got RJ, and on the outside looking in, you've got Terrell at 6-6. And then you have the 4-8 teams who right now are just kind of hoping the math falls into their favor as far as their points and everything.
I would say the last team's done.
Terrell?
No. The last.
Hobby?
No. The 3-win team there.
Oh, yeah. Matt's done.
Matt?
Yeah, Matt's done.
Stop making moves on the waiver wire.
Yeah, it's that time of year where, if your team is eliminated in league integrity, there's no need for you to be on the waiver wire. If you're in Dynasty is a different animal. You make the moves you make because it's
year to year.
Building. It's different. Yeah, like that team is it's just what it is.
So Matt, stop making moves.
That's our waiver wire all the time. Once the league reopens during the offseason. But for the redraft leagues, if your team is out of it, just, respect it, respect the waiver wire. And, keep it between the teams that are still competing, that still have something to play for. The teams that, may not have clinched this week, but they're also not eliminated. And next week, they need to get another W to be able to push themselves into the playoff mix.
We all suck.
I'm very intrigued to see, do we play each other? Are we going to come across each other? Are we going to cross paths in some of these playoffs and some of these seedings and brackets? It's going to be really interesting. We're going to preview those matchups.
I just need my first round buying on the money sports. I got to win this weekend. By doing so, I pretty much eliminate Alexi, the runner-up from last year.
Time to clinch some spots. Yeah, it would pretty much eliminate him.
If I win, I get my buy. And guess what? I'm going to go on a buy next week too because I have nothing to play for. So
you got a couple weeks to figure out what you're going to do for your playoff lineup. I play Alexi in sick picks. Right now, he's sitting at the 5 seed in sick picks, but there is a 5-way tie right now at 6-6. So he still needs to stay ahead of everybody else that he has the same record with.
Important. He has to win.
Because anything can still happen. And if he plays one of those teams that are tied with him, even more so, he's going to need to get that victory. I'm looking to try to get my win because I haven't clinched my spot in sick picks yet. I'm the 2 seed. Only Anthony has clinched. Shout out to Ant. He's back at the 1 spot after I beat him the week before.
Shout out to Gabe and Mikey who clinched in on the money
Shout
sports.
out to Gabe and Mike. Yeah, I've only clinched in True Legends. Everywhere else, I need to win this week to clinch. I have the opportunity to not only eliminate Jake in On the Money Sports, but clinch my spot in that league as well after a 4-game skid, and just to be able to get to 7-6 and avoid the chaos of a week 14 with some star-studded teams, no Commanders, no Ravens. A lot of big names ain't going to be there, and I ain't trying to wait until then to get my wins. So, and then for you, Twin loses and you win, you're setting up a very interesting week 14 because then you get another win, and one of those other teams gets a loss. Because if you beat Rasul and he loses again, that's another way for you to be able to get in. You need all the help. You need everybody to do their part. And you need all the contending teams to continue to set their lineups because a lot of the seeding for us still needs to get figured out. We don't know who's playing who yet in True Legends. We just know there's 8 spots and anything can happen. 4 teams have clinched already, but everybody 6-6 and under has the opportunity to still sneak into the postseason and, create absolute havoc.
Taking Pat Mahomes, bro. I'll never do it again.
Yeah,
I held on to too long.
He could have a good week this week. He did good against the Raiders.
I should have tried to trade Gibbs, who was my most appealing player. I probably could have gotten a wide receiver 1 and maybe an RB2 for him in return.
He could have. Well, he put up a huge numbers against the Raiders, so you're hoping that he can do the same again this Black Friday. I'm hoping that he plays for the most part how he's been playing most of the season and just underperforms.
Luckily, I got rid of
going against Mahomes.
I got rid of him. Got Goff. I should have kept wheeling and dealing when I was doing all that.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
I just had to navigate through some tough bye weeks, and now that I feel like I'm getting most of my guys back,
because potentially I have one of
making the right starts.
Nobody wants to say it out loud, but Money's On the Money sports team's pretty badass.
Well, I mean, it's probably your best fantasy team, right? That's the team that you have the 1 seed in, and it's the most stable of your teams right now. So, that's your thoroughbred. You know, you start looking at your fantasy teams and you eliminate
At
the
this
runs.
point, once the other ones get eliminated, that's all I'm focusing on.
All the money
To
sports,
take back
getting the championship belt back. Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to get the belt for the first time.
Dream has come alive.
I gotta be the face in this league at this point because I've never even gotten the belt, so this is my face turn. Like
if I win it this year, to win it the third time, to only become the second ever person to get it 3 times.
This is my home league. It's the first league that I ever learned how to play fantasy football in. So winning other leagues feels great, but winning the On the Money Sports League means everything because it's where it all started. And to be able to get that belt and to have overcome everything from the riverboats to Jake to you, you know, to Danny, like some of the teams that I've had to dealt with on their runs to go into the championships. Like I'm probably not getting a bye week in this league, so I just got to run the tables and keep winning. I keep starting my guys. Right now, I'm asking myself.
Are you saying that you're...
This is my story, bro. Is that what it is? I got to dye my beard blonde because I'm the Cody Rhodes of this league. Because last year, they threw the rubber chicken in the ring. My Wyatt family lost in the first round.
You got to do
it. Face, bro. I'm not the heel anymore here.
Come on.
I'm not the heel anymore.
You're Cody.
And you know what? My championship run is going to be a lot more entertaining than his if I get that belt. Because I'm going to be cutting promos with the belt each and every week. That belt is good. I am going to be a defending champion each and every week. You will see that belt on this podcast to remind everybody who the champion of the world is. That's right. I'm going to be the first champ to bring the belt like a straight up mark to the podcast each and every week. If I win multiple leagues, I'll be bringing the belt carrying championships. But the belt is coming each and every week no matter what. No matter what.
Because I'll tell you what, you'll hear this. If I win.
The Money Club.
Oh, yeah.
The Money Club with the Tribal Chief theme song. Yeah. So look at that. I'm a good guy in one story, at least. Yeah, I can't let you get the belt back, dog. It's epic, like poetic. Like, you know the storylines for the last couple of years in all the money sports. Like how much it means to potentially have this could be the first time we don't have Jake in the playoffs with us.
Yeah,
you remove a champion, a guy that's won it twice in the last 5 years. Remove him from the equation. Danny's still going to be there, the defending champ.
He hasn't clinched yet.
But right now it's looking good for him at 7-5, especially after next week.
I think if he wins, he'll clinch his spot in the dance.
Oh, all he needs is a 5-7 team to lose. He doesn't even need to win out. When you look at the 5-7s,
oof, big matchup. Him versus my dad. Oof.
Yeah.
The old man needs this.
Yeah, just to keep those hopes alive. Just keep his playoff hopes alive. You've got don't look now, but that Joel versus Mikey matchup is huge. You know, Mikey's sitting at 8-4. You know, trying to keep up with Gabe and our side. The second seed is up for grabs pretty much, which includes the bye. So still a lot to play for. I'm still lurking right now. I just got to get myself right.
What's your record? 6-6?
6-6.
You've been up and down.
It's been streaks. I won 2 in a row. I lost 2 in a row. I won 4 in a row. I lost 4 in a row. So this is the part where I'm hoping that it trends in the other direction for me as far as the streak goes, and I can go streaking into the On the Money Sports playoffs and exercise some of my demons in playoffs past and get myself to the big dance finally. It's huge, bro. I'm going to be so juiced up for Sunday's NFL action. Like, tomorrow's games are cool. But it's Thanksgiving, time with the family. Sunday's slate is the one that I'm going to be juiced up for. That's where it's all on the line.
Yeah.
It's all on the line. You know. One thing I'm not juiced up about really is the on the money picks because I stink at them. I went 2-3 again last week. Feel like it's a good time to bust out the on the money picks tonight. I feel like we've covered mostly anything, unless there's another topic, something you could think of right now.
Nah.
You know, we've stressed the magnitude of the fantasy playoff picture better than we ever could heading into week 13.
I don't know why this old man ain't sleeping telling me fix his lineup.
Those of us in riverboats.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing
It's Thanksgiving, bro. Ain't nobody going to bed early
still preparing that seasoned up and
yeah.
The message, Jew. Put in Robinson.
Yeah, he's. Oof.
You know how many times I've taught him how to do it on his phone too? At this point,
bro.
if you could figure, if you're in your 60s and you can figure out YouTube on your phone, you should be able to figure out how to mess with your lineup. But at the same time, I'm also privileged to have my dad still around to do things like that for him.
Absolutely. Gotta be thankful for that. Thankful for everybody.
I used to like complain and get mad about it, but the older you get, the more you're like, you know what?
Deeper appreciation for these things, deeper appreciation for life. Thankful for this podcast, the better part of a decade, last 8 years now, being able to sit and do this podcast with you. The growth that we've experienced through that time period, the friendships that we've made. The On the Money Sports Forum was never even a thing.
Is Heather boiling the turkey?
No.
That was just an empty threat.
No. She's not boiling the turkey. My girl knows how to season. She's with the Puerto Rican guys. Come on. So, you know, very, very thankful for.
You don't go sneaking in there sometimes, Chase, but
I don't sneak in the kitchen. I strut in the kitchen. I make at least 11 trips to the kitchen on a daily, snacking and eating. We've got leftovers from tonight's dinner that are gonna go into tomorrow, which is gonna be lunch. So I guess I'm not going to wait until the food is done to eat. I'm going to eat when I wake up because that's just like, you know, and then, you know, you have dinner, you have second dinner. I'm probably going to have a second portion of Thanksgiving. And by that second portion, I'll have loaded up so much onto my plate that I'll probably be good. By that point in time, if I need a laugh, I might check on the second half of the Giants and Cowboys game and just see what's happening there. Or I'm thinking about busting out the Yahtzee and whooping some ass at the family dinner table after we eat, get some games of Yahtzee in, get some board games in, click on the Dolphins-Packers game in the background.
Touchdown tomorrow.
Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown tomorrow. My parlay for tomorrow, I picked a guy from each game. I parlayed the 3 of them. Give me David Montgomery, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill. Boom. Simple 3-legger parlay. I'm taking that to the bank with me.
Is there a boost for it?
I used it. There is a Thanksgiving Day boost for a 3-legger that you can make. So that's exactly what I did. I kept it simple. I didn't have to worry about adding a 4th leg to it. They gave me the boost on a 3-legger. Happy Thanksgiving to me. I tried to use it in the best way possible and put together the guys that I think are going to find the end zone in tomorrow's matchup. Spicier picks would entail definitely Chris Brooks, like Sean did earlier at the top of the podcast.
That was super spicy.
But Dontavian Wicks, you know, if you're playing any, mini, miny, mo with the Packers wide receivers, he could be potentially a spicy touchdown. Jonnu Smith, which at this point shouldn't be that spicy if you've been paying attention because the guy's been getting targets in that offense. Tucker Kraft could potentially have himself a good night against the Dolphins. Getting out there and getting himself open. I'm trying to think of a spicy Cole Kmet, I guess. Cole Kmet's the spiciest one I could think of.
That is
for the 12:30 slate. If you choose to do that, don't tail it. I wouldn't do it. I'm not telling you to do it, but you know, if I'm looking at the odds for the early game, you know, Cole Kmet's odds are pretty good right now because he's been non-existent for a long time. But if he gets in the end zone tomorrow, he can get you paid. So, but yeah, I like Gibbs too. I might do something on Gibbs. Use some of my basketball money. There's no basketball tomorrow. The NBA is completely off. It's going to be all NFL action. So That means everybody's going to come back for the Cup games on Friday refreshed with probably a full slate of NBA action. So it's going to be a great couple of days. You know, we get family time in football tomorrow. Some great basketball action on Friday. We got college ball and basketball Saturday.
Who the hell's going to score tomorrow in the Cowboys game?
Rico Dowdle.
You think so?
Rico Dowdle. You can
put
go
on your ticket.
I'm thinking about it. I'm doing a ladder challenge. Like I'm gonna bet Amon-Ra St. Brown straight up for a touchdown, and then whatever I win off that bet, I'm gonna put that on a 4:00 guy. So Rico Dowdle could potentially be that guy that I try to double up with. I can't see why not. I mean, the path is easy. Shoemaker, the tight end, if you want to get spicy. Shoemaker could potentially get a touchdown. Dallas defense could definitely get a touchdown. Hey, it worked for me when I did it with the Broncos. Broncos defense cashed in for me with the pick 6. So we saw how active the Cowboys defense was. Cowboys defense, a good streaming option for this week against this matchup. A good play if you don't want to wait until Sunday, if you don't want to wait until tomorrow. You know, of course, if you have like defenses like the Chiefs, if you have defenses like the Broncos, like you don't have to start the Cowboys, but if you want to get spicy and get the lead early, yeah.
Laporta, Dowdle, Hill.
Laporta, Dowdle, Hill. That's your 3-person ticket.
Yep.
Okay. Sam Laporta, Rico Dowdle, Tyreek Hill. I like it.
Just did it right now.
As long as Laporta comes through in the morning, like you're good. You're golden.
I'm just gonna smile
because that's the hardest one to get. You get that one out of the way,
and I'm just gonna smile.
And you're golden.
It's gonna be like this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the gym through the blinds.
Yeah. I guess for me, the hardest one would be the Tyreek Hill one based on the level of consistency from him in that offense. But, you know, I went the simpler route.
If Laporta and Dowdle score and the cash out option's like $35, I'm just going to take it. That way I have $35 that I don't have to put in my account this weekend to use on Sunday.
Well, you know, the cooking won't stop in our group chat. Nah. We going to be talking plays tomorrow.
Yo, kudos to Matt the other day on the basketball thing.
Yeah. He's been hot this last week. He started last week the same way he started these last couple of days. He hit another parlay yesterday.
He kept shooting. If he never cashed out with the Schumacher one, man.
Got nervous. Sometimes, you know, it happens on Sundays, man. Like, it happens.
He'd have been golden.
You know, the last couple of minutes, that's part of why we got so excited for the McLaurin touchdown, because those last couple of minutes of the 1 p.m. games are the last opportunity for some of your tickets to not get burned. If your guys ain't scoring then, it ain't going to happen. And it don't matter what happens at 4 because your ticket's already shot. So, you know, that's why
I get it. None of my tickets hit. I did. You know what it was? I was doing tickets outside while Aiden's putting the lights up, so I really didn't focus. I was just picking names.
You always get real busy right before kickoff.
Yeah, I hate it.
You got to just start earlier or something and just give yourself the time.
So I told myself,
dog, you got to save your fantasy teams. Like
Saturday, I'm gonna just look over the Sky's algorithm, look at all his bets. I'm gonna share it with y'all, but I'm gonna go with my gut.
Cool. Heather shared something earlier where it was the trends of all the teams. She shared the basketball one and she shared the football one. Shout out to you, babe. That football one, I made money off that one last week because I got the Westbrook-Akine touchdown straight up, and I bet Will Levis for 2 touchdown passes. He hit that number. So I looked at the trends, and I picked teams that I wanted to go up against with those trends. I bullied them, and I was able to cash out on straight bets. My parlays stunk, but thankfully the straight bets ended up coming through. So it was one of those things where Sunday for me was more of a break-even day than I'm down. It was fucking like I was losing.
Impressive.
Yeah, so I hit a couple straight bets today. Hopefully LaMelo Ball wins me the king of the court bet, because I can take that super bonus bet and I can put it on something interesting for tomorrow. And I might try something out on FanDuel for tomorrow because I haven't tapped into there since Sunday.
Did you get your free bets?
No, because I did a stupid parlay of Steph Curry and Anthony Davis. Rebounds for Davis, points for Curry. Neither one of them hit.
Oh.
And I did not get that.
Oh.
So I'm going to go on there. I'm going to see what the bonuses are looking like for Thanksgiving and, you know, try to get something going on the FanDuel account too. and start growing accustomed to using that, because I see a lot of you guys cashing out on FanDuel props, and it's good to compare the prices, and I don't want to lose out on the money. So
You did your on the money picks already?
yeah, speaking of on the money,
I'm gonna do mine's. I went 1-4 last week.
yep, I stunk up the joint going 2-3.
So my total's 31-24.
Absolute garbage for me.
So this is what I'm doing. Tomorrow I'm taking the Cowboys over the Giants.
Cowboys over the Giants. Okay.
I'm taking the Dolphins over the Packers.
Dolphins over the Packers.
Ravens over the Eagles. Bills over the 49ers. And since I haven't done it all year and I feel like they need me to do it this weekend, I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Cincinnati Bengals.
Saving the best for last.
So Cowboys, Dolphins, Ravens, Bills, Steelers for me.
Cowboys, Dolphins, Ravens, Bills, and Steelers. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna rock with, first and foremost, I'm gonna go in order. I'm gonna go with the Thursday nighter, the late night game, the nightcap. And I am going to take the Cheeseheads to once again hand the Dolphins another L in the cold. I'm going with Green Bay to get the W on Thursday night Thanksgiving football. I am going to also take the Buffalo Bills to beat the 49ers. Hopefully that doesn't turn into one of those things where we end up jinxing them. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings to beat the Cardinals, because like you, I know I've seen this story with Arizona before. I know how it gets for them sometimes, and the Vikings could very well prove they are the better team this week. However, Kyler Murray this year has been putting up good numbers against good defenses, so we'll see what happens, man. It should be a good one. I am going to take the Atlanta Falcons over the LA Chargers. Come through for me, Atlanta, because I don't feel good about it whatsoever, but I'm taking you. And for my final pick, I'm going to take the Rams over the Saints, because like you, I feel like this football team kind of needs a boost. They need somebody to have that faith in them. I put the bet on them to go to the Super Bowl. I'm placing the wager on them to be able to get through this Sunday with a W, and a team that they should be able to beat. So give me the Rams. Give me the Bills. Give me the Packers. What else did I say? Give me the Vikings, and then the one that I really don't feel good about, the Atlanta Falcons.
Mikey, make sure to post yours.
Part of me saying even right now, I should be picking the Chargers because Justin Herbert is going to tear their secondary apart. But Falcons, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt coming out of the bye week. Maybe you got your shit together. We'll see. Just give the ball to Drake London, bro. Come on. Work with me here.
Kyle Pitts.
If he wants. I don't need to start Kyle Pitts because I got Trey McBride. So, Kyle Pitts, whatever you do is a plus, buddy.
Well, then, ladies and gentlemen, that is the On the Money picks.
Good shit tonight, man. Good conversation. Yeah. Good football conversation. We went from fantasy to reality. Thank you for those of you.
Great to get Chris on here. It's been a while.
Those of you who hung in with us, we went a little longer tonight. We had a lot to talk about, a lot to break down.
Good luck on your parlay.
Hope you hit your parlay, bro. Good luck. Good luck to everybody placing wagers.
I hope everybody gets them green beans tomorrow.
And good luck to you in fantasy, unless you're going up against me. At that point, I just hope that you lose. See you guys in the forum tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thankful for all of you guys and the platform to be able to do what we do here on a weekly basis. And enjoy your long weekend, man. Good luck Black Friday shopping too.